Bonjour, everyone. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Welcome. Number 22. Sorry it's been so long. Kind of went and lived my life. Now I'm back.
Oh, good.
Now I'm back. And shall we kick it straight off, Taters? Come on. Firstly, who has watched any of Ahsoka?
Watched all three.
Yeah, Randy, you watched it? Randy,
I have not.
Come on, we've got to give him a kick in. All right, I think three of us will do. I think three out of anyway, I'm joking. Taters.
The thing is, the streaming stuff has been so bad lately. I've just been primarily going to the theater and watching the movies that I think might be good.
Yeah, you have been going to the cinema quite a bit, haven't you? To be fair,
a lot, yeah.
Yeah,
we can talk about that later. You guys are going to lead off.
We'll have Randy's random review.
we actually need a little theme tune for that. We really
do. We need a little jingle, don't we?
That's it.
Yeah. Gonna be kind of like a circus, do.
That's the one. That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Big stars coming out of everywhere. That's it.
We'll use that
random review.
Actually, yeah, we'll use that first to kick it off.
All right.
So, can we call it one of the most anticipated?
Yeah.
Oh, if we can.
It was.
Past tense.
That doesn't sound good.
Yes, it was. So has it lived up to the hype, Taters?
No, not at all.
Right.
Not at all.
Tell us why. Tell us why.
I don't think I watch it like you guys watch it. I don't watch it for story. I watch it for memories. I watch it for feeling. I watch it for all that sort of stuff. For me, even that, it's still 70% at best. The first two episodes, I must add, the first two episodes, 70% at best. Like I said in the chat, very slow. And that isn't just slow in terms of pacing, that's slow in terms of acting, that's slow in terms of dialogue. Everything just seemed slow. The characters, mostly there. Hera was probably my biggest problem with episode one. Hera did not.
She nothing like she was in the cartoon.
No, not at all. Not at all. She doesn't actually come out as Hera until like episode 3.
It's the same personality traits, isn't it? It's not even the same personality traits for all three of so Hera, Sabine, and even Ahsoka.
Well, Sabine
live action is going to be different, but
Sabine does sort of live up to what she is.
You've got
to remember, Sabine was or is the badass Mandalorian warrior that worked for the Empire and went against them, joined the rebellion. She doesn't necessarily do everything the right way.
Yeah,
but in this show, but in this show,
in her own right.
Yeah. But you just explained Sabine. In this show, she comes off as a bratty twat, basically.
That's a portrayal. Yeah, absolutely. I know what you're saying.
Was she better by the third episode? I only watched the first two because I felt like they ended the second one going, okay, now she's not going to be such an annoying person anymore.
Technically, she shouldn't have been in the third episode, because she should have been dead. She got stabbed with a lightsaber.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Through the lung. She really
couldn't be there. It's just like, it's
what a great end to a first episode that would have been if she had died. If they had been brave enough to do
that would have upped the stakes quite a lot.
It would have been amazing. Like for years and years, people have wanted to see these characters in live action. We finally get to see it, and the first thing you do is kill off one of the main characters.
Well, it came out in 2014. Rebels started in 2014, so we've had 9 years of watching these characters, getting used to these characters.
Just for a minute, as she got run through with a lightsaber, just for that minute, I thought, "Oh wow, yes, come on, guys, come on!" And then the credits rolled shortly after, and as the credits started rolling, I thought,
well, there's been a lot of back and forth about it, hasn't there? There's people coming with the argument that's sort of like, Qui-Gon Jinn died when he got run through.
Yes.
And then people talking about the location of where he got run through. It was straight through the middle, straight through the spine. It would have damaged major organs, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're getting into the minutiae of it.
I'm sorry, but her lungs were there. That's
you.
pretty major.
Yeah.
Straight through the liver, minimum, straight through
Yes.
the liver.
I mean, who was the one in Kenobi? She got run through as well, didn't she?
She got run through the heart, didn't she?
Reva and the Grand Inquisitor.
Well, I thought that they were going to give her like a cyborg part. You know how they gave like Luke the robot hand? I thought that, okay, this could be cool. Maybe she's going to become like, you know,
John-Luke
like
Robot liver.
What was the name of the one guy who had like the dozens of lightsabers and then he had like the spinning ones? Grievous. Yeah, like eventually she'd have a bunch of robot parts. I thought that would be kind of neat. I mean, that would be in the Star Wars. That would be a classic Star Wars trope, right?
Yeah.
That you get a robot part and it works just as good as human parts.
Normally it's just a hand, but yeah.
And you have to stay in a Bacta tank for ages.
Yeah.
And your loved ones have to pine for you while you're in there. No,
like I say, there has been a lot of debate. You know, the people are coming from the angle of the medical technology would have improved because we're sort of like 40 years past where episode 1 was. But I still go back to, and I said it to Liz, I don't know if I said it to you, Hog, when Qui-Gon Jinn stabs his sword through that metal door, it instantly starts to melt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sorry. That would have been great. Could you imagine you just started melting a beloved animated character? Like, what?
So kids. That with Sabine and the Top Gun rip-off scene down the highway towards the communications tower.
Jeez.
That was
the empty road. Like I was wondering,
K-pop rock music,
and the rock music, and the rock music did kind of take you out, but. Historically, that road is always empty because it's only to the communications tower. It's not a highway.
See, I did wonder that. I did wonder that. So why have 2 lanes then?
Because you want to go either way, didn't you?
But it's never used.
If there's no traffic on an empty road, you have 1 track. If you're not going to meet, if there's no traffic, why do you need?
I know what you're saying. I didn't write it.
And why make such a big like it's basically a dual carriageway, isn't it?
It's pretty much. Yeah, it's a highway, it's a freeway.
If it's just to let a couple of tech guys go to the old tower, like even when they first built it, why do you need?
It's like building the M25 to go to a farm.
Anyway.
Do you know what I mean? You can't do it.
Does anybody know? Does Disney own Skywalker Ranch? No. I mean, do they own Skywalker Ranch?
As far as I know, that was part of the deal when they bought Lucasfilm. Yeah,
no, was it?
Okay,
where were the? It was. I may be wrong.
The thing I was most disappointed about with that speeder chase was no freaking sound effects. We had that stupid pop music, like you guys were saying, and I was like, "This is one of those cool ass speeders from the Return of the Jedi. Why am I not hearing that amazing sound that they designed for the speeders?" Yeah. That sound, I love that. I was like, all right, we're gonna get some speeder sounds, and all we got was some J-pop.
It would have made it a little bit better, at least, to not have that music. But you know, it's creative team and all.
So
So
wait. I don't know that creative is a right word to assign to that team. I think like the uncreative team.
Hence the eyes.
Yeah, perhaps we're pushing the boundaries of the definition of the word creative. Yes, all the time.
How are you feeling? How are you feeling, Tayters? Because this is your favourite character.
Well, this technically isn't Ahsoka, is it? This is Rebel season 5.
Yeah, or even the Sabine Wren show in a way.
Oh no!
I do think, like, right, okay. I live in hope, as you know, especially around Star Wars, even Disney Star Wars. I live in hope that someone somewhere is going to get it right, and I'll judge it by the series as opposed to the. You know, I'll have problems with individual episodes, like everybody does, but I'll judge the series as a whole, and it'll be: was it a good series? Yes or no. Was it fun? Yes or no. You know, again, I can only look at it through my eyes. I can't watch it for anybody else's eyes. But I'm looking forward because the intrigue of the characters and where it's going, what that means. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm not even worried about the story. I'm just, where's it going? What's these characters? I want to know. I want answers to my questions. Who are these characters? These new ones.
It's a shame they just couldn't have taken Filoni's passion and infused it. And he's got some. He's obviously. I'm not saying he hasn't got any storytelling capability. I think he's so close to these characters that he can't. He just can't. He's down here, and he just can't see. If he would be allowed to collaborate. I know there's a director on episode 2 and 3, I think.
Yeah.
But I just think he's been given too much free rein, and he's not the genius that everyone thinks he is. I just think he's great at doing cartoons.
Well, let's
He's an
take the first
encyclopedia of Star Wars.
Genius.
He's an encyclopedia. No one can deny that. He is an encyclopedia.
All right. So he knows.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean
he knows the ins and outs of everything. Yeah.
Doesn't mean he can tell a good story.
No, I agree. I agree.
But let's just look at the decision making of the story. So I said this to you the other day, Taters. The whole plot depends on stupid decisions. So the stupid decision will lead you to the next bit. Let's look at the opening scene when the Jedi code comes in and the captain goes, "I'm going to call their bluff." If he hadn't have done that and just gone, "Stuff it, let's shoot him out of the sky now and let's get out of here," then that Morgan Elsbeth wouldn't have been freed at that point, and it wouldn't have set up the next part of the story. If Sabine hadn't stolen the orb and gone and fixed basically the Rubik's Cube and lined up the lines, then you wouldn't have got that. In episode 2, if that droid didn't just hang around for a little nap, I think, afterwards, when Ahsoka comes back, what was the point of leaving that droid?
Yeah.
Because the reason that scene was there is because they went, right, we need
the robot head.
Yeah, we literally need the robot head to be able to get to the next part of it. So what do? Oh, we just say a droid stay behind. Why?
No, the point of the droid was if Sabine went back to the communications tower and she hadn't bumped into Shin Hati, then someone would have got her one end or the other.
But she went into the communications tower. She got attacked by 2 droids, took out one, run downstairs, and then saw Shin Hati, and then got stabbed.
Didn't she also say
died.
that? She also said she thought that it wasn't one line like, "I thought there'd be one of you here" or something like that. Wasn't that?
Why?
I know
Why
that's
would
what.
she think that?
And then I'm going, if she thought that, why didn't she go in like, let's build some tension. She knows there's probably a bad guy in there. Have her sneaking in. Like just even the moment could have been improved by if she did know there was something in there. Why'd she waltz in like,
But the whole story is built on convenience, because even like when they go to that shipyard on Corellia, okay, the ship could have been. Again, I spoke to you about this, Taters, earlier in the week. The ship could have been leaving because they were alerted to their presence. But what's the convenience of it is that they get there 5 minutes later, someone's going, "Hail the Empire" before he shoots, instead of just shooting, which gives them the heads up. Which gives them the heads up, and then it all kicks off in the 5 minutes, and that ship happens to be leaving within that 5 minutes, and it's in plain sight. The whole story so far has just been built on pure convenience and the need for stupid decisions to get you to the next situation, which isn't good story writing. Now, I'm like you. I've watched all the Rebels. I've watched all the Clone Wars. I've been excited to see what this is going to be. And for me, this should be Star Wars' last hope. You live in hope.
yeah.
You could call it denial.
It should be Ahsoka. Well, no, it's the whole theme of Star Wars. The whole of Star Wars is based on hope.
Exactly, but it's
just carry on the tradition.
All 3 of your female. One, Rex should have been there since the beginning, because Rex was Ahsoka's right hand man. Rex should have been there since the beginning. He's nowhere to be seen. Ahsoka does not act like Ahsoka. Stoic.
She's old.
Sabine, stoic and a bit stupid, and Hera, just a bit of attitude.
That's what I'm saying. Ahsoka's coming across.
There's not really much definition between the characters, and you kind of need that when you've got an ensemble cast. You can't just have all the characters cut out of each other, but they've just got different makeup.
Yeah.
Ahsoka's definitely coming across as not what she was, but she isn't what she was. She's a lot older. We last saw her in Rebels. She was
a little acrobats with her 2 sabers going.
Well, this is the thing as well. We last saw her in
the ground.
Rebels.
Whee!
We last saw her in Rebels, and I know you've got to set it up in the right way. But one of the burning questions is, where was she during the time of the original trilogy?
Well, we're not there yet.
But you still got to answer it.
Yeah, but not in the first 3 episodes.
Come on, you've got to answer that whole time from the end of Rebels, from when we last saw her, which was what the last episode of Rebels was about a year before New Hope.
No, I'm trying to remember
2 years,
now. Was it
maybe a
no,
year,
was it
2
4
years before New Hope?
4 years. I think it was 4 years.
Okay, so 4 years from 4 years pre New Hope to now in this time frame where we're like 5 years after Return of the Jedi. You're talking 9 years, nearly 10
7
years
years.
there.
Yeah, they're
7
saying,
years
they're
after
saying
Return of
10
the Jedi.
years, aren't they? They've aged.
Okay, so 10-year gap, and in that time, the Empire have fallen, Darth Vader's died, etc., etc. Where were you? You were Anakin's apprentice.
We've got another 5 episodes to go yet, mate, to answer that question.
Well,
That'd
how
be the
different would
first
you
thing.
say she is? Like because I'm not familiar with the Ahsoka character. I just know she's beloved, and everybody's saying she doesn't seem to be acting quite like herself.
No, that's true.
The main difference is that the Ahsoka had character.
I don't think she
in
can
animated.
in terms of her physical ability. You can't do that without CGI, and if they go CGI, it's going to ruin it.
Well,
So
let's
they're gonna
say,
have to
okay,
play her down.
taking the fight scenes out, though, what about her personality? How she's handling these
She had
situations
one.
and talking to
She
people?
had one in the
There's a
animated.
character there. I don't think
Okay.
they're
Then
She had one.
If the
When-
excuse that she's older doesn't work with fans, because
No.
we basically see a character that has been in some ways killed off or destroyed, and this is the new one. We need to see what happened to get her like this in order for us to accept that this is the way that she is. The thing that made Maverick work, because that was a big time gap, was he was the same guy. He was the same guy he was at the end of the first movie. They didn't have him grow too much. They had a few little things that were, okay, we see time has passed, but he was the same guy. You can't do this. And I know it's not realistic, like in real life, that doesn't happen, but in a story, you can't have too much change happen. It's not believable.
No.
Go and watch the last 4 episodes of Clone Wars and that 2-parter where she fights Darth Vader in Rebels.
Season 2. The last two episodes of season 2.
They're the ones you need to see. They're the ones I would say watch to get your best gauge of what the character of Ahsoka should be.
Okay.
I think
And
Amber's
she
right.
ain't nothing like that.
And if you look back when we saw a Solo, before his kid killed him off, I mean, that felt like Solo, right? That felt like an older version of Solo as opposed to
the films.
Yeah. I mean, so there we go. We can deal with a character being older, but they still essentially have to be the same character. Whereas like Luke, that wasn't Luke that they brought back. It was horrible. And they can be older and they can be a little bit bitter, but we still need to be able to see something that makes us think that this is the same character.
I mean, the point I was saying about about Ahsoka and seeing where she was during the original trilogy, the problem for me is when you retcon a character in that was Anakin's apprentice and that's still alive during the OT, you need to explain where they were. And by doing that, say, for example, in the opening 5-10 minutes, you do that, you explain what's happened to her, then you could potentially put something in that explanation of where she was, of why she is the way she is now, which would then explain some changes in her personality.
But we know we're getting flashbacks. We know 100% we're getting flashbacks.
I think they're just going to avoid it because they're retconning the character and you've got to try and explain where they've been and all that sort of stuff. Because realistically, if Ahsoka was around in this world, she would be at the forefront helping the rebels and fighting with Luke. That's what she'd be doing.
Well, we've got 8 episodes, mate. We've got another 5 to go. We'll see where they end up. If they get to the end of the season and they still haven't answered the question, you've got a legitimate argument. But we'll wait and see what they say.
It's just it's her name on the series, and I knew.
Yeah. And it should be her.
Exactly what they've done. In episode 1, they kind of done a fairly decent job of explaining. Like there was a feeling that they're getting the old band back together. Kind of was halfway there of doing that. There was kind of nods and the winks and the looks and the folded arms and all that. They've all met before.
That's an interesting question. How was it for those who haven't seen Clone Wars and Rebels?
Well,
Did you understand? Did you understand everything?
I understood, but it felt lackluster.
Yes, and Sabine Wren is the only character, and I know she's young and she's coming across as bratty, but if it's a redemption arc where she's been out in the wilderness and she's got the hump because she's obviously had a thing with old Ezra Bridger, I'm getting all that from this show. And well, why did she touch his cheek on the painting then, Tayters?
That has been addressed several times, and it has been categorically stated they are no more than brother and sister. Though, with that being said, this is Star Wars. We know how brothers and sisters go.
Well, that's fair enough. So I don't know whether you spoke the cheek. I don't know whether you
they're brother and sister. This is Star Wars.
Brother
that's allowed, apparently.
But she did. All right, they might be going somewhere there. Yeah, but anyway. Right. But Sabine Wren's character is kind of getting fleshed out, as in, I'm an audience member thinking, all right, you've got to redeem yourself now. You've nicked the puzzle. We all know, didn't we? We all know as soon as Ahsoka said, that doesn't leave the ship. That map doesn't leave the ship. And she's going, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That was so stupid. And I'm sorry, it made Ahsoka look so incompetent too.
Yes. Yes. Like, it's kind of her fault. But even overlooking all of that, I'm getting more. What I'm trying to get at is, as an audience member, and I knew they would trip over themselves doing all this. I knew, the conversations we've all had on previous hogCasts, and particularly me and you, Tayters. They have it kind of explained a bit of backstory, so you can come into this dry, with no lube, of Clone Wars and Rebels. But they just haven't done enough to just give us a character we can follow through 8 episodes. Like, why are we rooting for her? Why do we want her to succeed? Whatever mission she's got in life in this 8 episodes, why do I'm a Star Wars fan, or I'm just a casual fan, but why do I want to see Ahsoka win the day? Like, why am I rooting for her?
She's not the main character. It's the other girl. It's the pink-haired girl or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
what's her name? I don't remember her name.
Sabine Wren.
You got a theory about her, haven't you? You got a theory about her, Tayters. What's going to happen?
It's not. I genuinely think that the Sabine Wren is right. Okay, she's alive. We have to put up with that fact. She didn't die from being stabbed with a lightsaber.
She was barely inconvenienced by that.
Exactly. Deep cuts, Randy. Well pulled. But no, she's definitely turning to the dark side. 100% she turns to the dark side. For how deep and how long, I don't know, but she's definitely turning to the dark side. It is there in episode 2 and episode 3. They show you right at the beginning of each episode. You have to go back and watch. So before the episode starts, you get the little heads pop up of each character in the shows. Yeah. Now they alternate between red for evil, blue for good. In that, Marok's head is blue. So I know he's coming back as a goodie. And Sabine Wren's helmet is red. That's a clue. That's foreshadowing that she is turning at some point. How, the mechanism of it, I'm not quite sure. I have gone through this over and over and over in my head, trying to think about how. I just think it's going to be another version of Anakin, but this Ahsoka is the master, and she's going to turn the master. She's going to turn it against Ahsoka for some reason. Don't know why, but yeah, it's pretty clear that that's going to happen. So something to look forward to.
That would be interesting to watch, actually. Yeah. I mean, I just don't see this character being led in that direction very well.
It would be interesting in terms of the effect it would have on Ahsoka, seeing her master turn to the dark side. Well, she didn't see it, but she realized it. Yeah. And then now it's her apprentice.
Yeah.
So that would have an interesting effect on the character.
Right. But that story in particular doesn't just stand on its own with the helmets. You've got to go again because you need to watch Rebels to see she gets trained by Kanan Jarrus. Yeah, I know. You don't know the backstory. She's a Mandalorian. She's a Mandalorian. She's brought up a Mandalorian. She's a Mandalorian warrior. She doesn't rely on the Force. She relies on
Oh, that's a point.
Tech. She relies on tech.
That's a point, Taters. So how can she be an apprentice if she's a Mandalorian? Has she not got? Has she? So
Has she left the Mandalorians? Like she's not with them
No,
anymore?
she is a Mandalorian. She's
she's
from
an
Clan Ren,
apprentice.
and they're quite important in Mandalorian culture. Like
Right, but she's an apprentice of Ahsoka's in the
at this point, yes, yeah.
Right, but has she not got any force powers then? How can you train someone?
Well, that's
No,
what she's
she
training
does.
for.
The robot guy said that she has them, but they're like really bad, right?
That's what she's training for. Right. So Ahsoka, right, okay. So every iteration of Star Wars we've had, and George Lucas made this very clear in lots of different interviews.
Go on.
Everybody has the ability to use the Force.
Okay.
Everybody. But like most things in life, you have to train for it. You have to harness it.
Yeah.
You have to be open to it. Number one, which Sabine Wren isn't. We've established that in the past. She isn't open to the Force. She isn't open.
You have to have a lot of
able to use
chlorine
the
as well,
Force.
don't you?
Oh, sorry?
You have to have a load of chlorine as well, don't you?
Yeah, some midi chlorines. Yeah. But,
So,
yeah,
but
so
she's got to bathe. She's got to bathe in the waters of Mandalore now, isn't she?
that's not chlorinated.
Maybe that is a pool of midichlorians. All the Mandalorians are waiting to like reveal themselves as like super Jedis.
It's tying into Mandalorian Series 4 really well.
I thought that the midichlorians thing was such a mistake. That is such a. I felt like George Lucas blew it when he did that. It took the mystique out of the Force.
Partly, yeah.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
But it made it also a genetic thing. So that kind of undermines the thing that you're saying, Taters. That this is not.
It takes a spirituality out of it.
Yeah.
Where the Force was spiritual, introducing the midichlorians, Amber.
Right, so look at Obi-Wan as a character. Look at Obi-Wan
kind of thing, and it was like, oh well.
Let's look at Obi-Wan, right? Obi-Wan never had a fantastic M count, yeah. So if you want to go wide prequel, it's the M count, the midichlorian count. Obi-Wan wasn't necessarily massive in M count, but through training and focus and ability, he learned. Whereas you had Anakin. Anakin had no clue, but he was there straight away. He's gifted. Yeah, he was a gifted person. He had a high M count, yes, but he was gifted. And it's like that in life, you don't get anywhere without training.
Can someone with a very low M count achieve like the highest status if the training will get them there? Or is it like, no, you also have to have the high metachlorine count to be like the top?
Right. So the way they say it, again, if you look at Obi wasn't necessarily massive in the Force with the M count side of things, but through training he did get there. Anakin got there very quickly. The point of the dark side always is that you can cheat, you can take shortcuts, you can use your aggression, you can use your anger, you can use your emotional, and you will shortcut your way to these powers, but you lose something of yourself through achieving those shortcuts. Yes, and that's where we are with sort of Sabine Wren at the moment. If you go back to Rebels when she's training under Kanan, she's only good with the Darksaber when she's angry, when she's emotional. When she's not, when she's trying to do it calmly, she's like Din Djarin was with the Darksaber. It's heavy and she can't cope with it. It's not working. The Force is not there. It's just like, she's fighting the Force.
They're setting her up already because you saw in the latest episode where she was getting frustrated with the training.
Yeah,
so she's
exactly.
So they're already setting her up for it.
She's going to take the shortcut.
Okay.
She is going to take the shortcut. She's going to use anger. She's going to do all the things that Anakin did. She's going to take the shortcut, and she's going to go dark. And again, like I say, how deep
and
or
that's
how long?
Probably where we're going to get the Anakin flashbacks.
Possibly.
That's probably where, or some guidance from Anakin, because Hayden Christensen's going to be in this. If it's flashbacks, I pray to God they're going to de-age him properly and he doesn't look like an old
man. The one image I saw in the trailer looked nice. I was like, that looks decent.
Let's hope. But with that, remember, Ahsoka didn't want to. Ahsoka walked away from Sabine because of her tendency to be emotional and angry. Like she didn't want to train Grogu because of his attachment to Din Djarin. She refused to train Din. She refused to train him because of Din's attachment with the kid. It's just like that's just the way for him. He's gonna go dark. I don't want to take that risk.
Where is Grogu right now?
Where's Luke?
Who gives two monkeys where? Good riddance.
Yeah, but Luke's going to be.
I wanna know if
rebuilding
he's
his
learned how to
Jedi
talk.
Order. But Luke's going to be redoing his Jedi Order at the moment. At this point in time, you've got a threat of Thrawn and potentially the Empire coming back.
Okay.
Don't you think you can give Luke Skywalker a call? Bearing in mind, he's 5 years ago just defeated Darth Vader. Like maybe fill him in a little bit, and we know that Ahsoka and Luke meet because we saw it in Boba Fett.
Yeah.
So
you could have had all this in
Right.
the
So hang on. So you're getting your timeline a bit screwed up. So this is running in line with Mandalorian season 3. They literally are in the timeline together. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so
but
they're away from each other. So we're after Boba Fett. Boba Fett's finished.
So they've already met. So she's already met Luke.
She's already met Luke. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
That's
God.
why I'm saying, where the hell is Grogu? I'm telling you, Grogu. Why this special
all the
child?
things-
Why?
Of all the things,
He's everywhere he was in season 3 of
hang
Mandalorian.
on a minute though. But of all the things that a Star Wars fan would like to see, would be Luke Skywalker gets told, "Oh, there's a woman here called Ahsoka that wants to see you." All right, who's she then? Oh, she's a former
So Luke
Jedi
Skywalker has a
apprentice.
secretary now, does he?
But she's a former Jedi apprentice of your dad. Oh, she's a Jedi. Yeah, she was the apprentice of your dad, but she left the Jedi Order. Okay. Where was she when I was getting my hand cut off in Cloud City? Where was she when all this other shit was going on? And also, what can you tell me about my dad? Maybe you could have given me some insight here. I would like to have seen that initial meeting, that first interaction.
Yeah, it would have also been interesting, okay, like what you were saying earlier, Taters, or was it you? No, it was you, Lizard. Where the hell has Ahsoka been? Like, there has to be an explanation for it. There can only be one explanation for it. She was not in the same system, or she was in a different galaxy. She has to have been somewhere else, because there's no excuse for this kind of character to have been like, I'm in the shadows now. You do your own thing. Like, that's not... I know enough about the Ahsoka character to know that this would not be the thing that she does.
She done a Yoda and gave him the wrong phone number. That's what she did. Oh, shocking.
I mean, they did
Yoda
sort of
uses,
touching it in. On
Yoda
Tales
loses
of the Jedi.
one fight. Yoda loses one fight in Revenge of the Sith, then disappears for God knows how many years and hides out on Dagobah. And it's just like, hang on a minute. There's plenty of occasions when they could have called him. He gave him the wrong phone number.
That's
shocking.
very possible. Yeah.
Yes.
Unless it's like a thing. Do the Jedi, like when they reach the pinnacle of wisdom and they decide, okay, everybody else is fighting and I'm not supposed to be involved? Like, I don't know much about the Jedi religion and what their directive is supposed to be. But when the general population is in conflict, are they supposed to pick a side, or are they supposed to be above that?
No, they're meant to be on the side of peace, regardless, whichever side it is.
That's the only explanation I could think of, because like we had Yoda going into hiding, Obi-Wan, and then we had Luke in the later series, and now it seems like what the hell happened to Ahsoka? Is she like coming out of retirement? Like, well, I don't know.
She could have gone into exile. She could have gone back in the world between worlds. There's several places she could have gone. We don't know.
But I kind of think just answer it, get all that shit out of the way, and then crack on.
Yes. Yeah, you could have done a lot of that in a little scroll at the beginning. Like, because they did get away, their little scroll at the beginning, they did kind of, that scroll, traditionally, within Star Wars, it tells you so much. It's like, you could get 3 episodes of information just in that scroll. For the past 2 years, Ahsoka has been doing this. Luke and Leia are off on a mission in another star system, attacking aliens with 3 heads, and blah 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 and blah blah blah, and get all that out of the way. Ahsoka's coming out of retirement. Sabine Wren has had the ever since Ezra Bridger's got the. You could just go 2 minutes.
Well, she did exile herself. She did exile herself for a while. But this is prior to all of this.
Yeah. What happens with our experienced, talented hands on the tiller is we get continually with Dismal. We get continual, poor, dull, slow.
Well,
entertainment.
Well,
story.
the other issue with it as well is, have you noticed
Can you imagine
they've made
Greg
the same
Berlanti?
mistake?
Imagine Greg Berlanti producing the Star Wars stuff. He would be whipping everyone into shape.
Have you noticed they made the
don't
same
get to
mistake
do-
again?
You don't get to do as many series of The Flash and Green Arrow and all the other D's. Everything he's done for Warner Brothers, Greg Berlanti, you don't get to the stature of that man without knowing what you're doing. And imagine him, instead of Dopey KK and the war between Kathleen Kennedy and John, it's obvious now, isn't it, that Favreau don't get on with Kennedy, and Kennedy wants to make the false female, and the false female it's a boys thing that girls like. Just get on with it, for God's sake. But someone like Berlanti, you imagine that in those professional, experienced hands, how he could work with someone like Filoni. And Filoni's bubbling with ideas and inventiveness. And Berlanti's going, all right, Dave, this is all good. we need to have an audience, root for the hero, like cheer the hero, hiss and boo the villain for 8 episodes to the end. And we need a beginning.
They made the mistake again, haven't they?
We need an end.
They made the same formatting mistake.
But it's boring. It's
But they made the same formatting mistake again. So I've said it before about a lot of Disney Plus shows. When you're releasing something on a weekly basis, again, if you're doing a weekly thing, it has to be something that's thrilling, intriguing, and makes you want to come back the following week. Episode 1 and 2 should have been one episode. They shouldn't have been 2 individual episodes.
I agree with that.
Episode 3, I watched it this afternoon. Episode 3 to me was half an episode. It's like it's like stop, and I guarantee episode 4 will be. It's obviously it's going to continue, so that's hopefully what scene for scene does. It fucking continues the story along, but it will feel like 3 and 4. I guarantee it will feel like one episode. It'll be the same with 5 and 6, and the same with 7 and 8. Just put it as one big fucking episode, because name whatever TV show you want. Say Breaking Bad, an episode of Breaking Bad, right? Imagine watching.
Talk about that in the same sentence.
No, we can. No, we can. Imagine Breaking Bad, where it was released weekly, but only half an episode at a time. You lose momentum, and that's what this is, but obviously on a much worse level.
Do you not feel though that episode 3 was a little bit more Star Warsy? Do you not feel that it actually did tick some boxes in the Star Wars realm? Like I say, even from the scoring, even from the music felt a lot more Star Wars. It actually did take me back. The character of Hera actually comes across as herself in this.
Yeah, I'll admit the Hera bit where she was having an argument with Mothma.
She actually, Mothma and the other senators. I don't care. Yeah. My partner gave up his life for this cause, so I don't care what you think. You're not on the front line. You don't know. You've never been on the front line, and she gives it back to them, and that's Hera. That's the way it should be.
But it's still, like I say, it's the same thing with Andor as well. Every one of those episodes I said could have been bunched together. So 3 and 4 should have been together. 5 and 6 should have been. It's literally they're delivering us half an episode. Then you've got just as it's about to get going, and you think, oh, okay, then it just ends. Then you lose the momentum, and that's their mistake they're doing with every single one of those shows.
I think they're relying on the intrigue of the characters.
1.2 million people watched the first episode of Ahsoka.
No, they didn't.
On the first day.
You got the wrong figures.
1.2 million.
1.2 million people that have Samba TV watched Ahsoka on the opening 6 days. That was Samba TV statistics.
Okay, even with that though, it's still not the highest rate.
That's only Samba TV though. That's only one app.
But it's still not the most highest viewed thing ever. And with any TV show, it's going to have that drop off.
Ahsoka in its first 6 days actually got 14 million views.
Okay, great, 14 million. But it's still going to have. But it's still going to have.
But the other thing is, they said still going to have a drop off. Viewers. How many people watch that multiple times?
I think the truth is something.
It's going to. But it's going to have a drop off. Give yourself the best chance. Make it full length hour episodes, so 3 and 4 together, etc. And there's just one big episode, and just drop it all at fucking once. Give yourself the best chance.
I get where you're coming from. I just think there's, again, a lot of the intrigue for this, and I can only talk for myself, but a lot of the intrigue for this is the new characters, where it's going, what, you know, we got Balen Skull and Shin Hati. These characters are absolutely fantastic. We know nothing about them.
I'm
absolutely fantastic.
I want to find out more about Ray and Blondie. I've got to
that Debbie Harry character with a lightsaber. Jesus, there's something not quite right. She's ready to flip.
Even though she's all hunched over like a little 14-year-old, all dressed in grey, nevertheless, she is, you know, they just can't go full on, can they? She's all hunched over and she's got...
I reckon they will. I reckon at some point she's just going to go bang. And it's
really disappointed as well with the amount of content we've had in regards to Ray Stevenson, because every time he's on screen, he is, to me, smashing it. Every time he's on screen.
He owns the screen and he hasn't said
anything. He owns it, but they've hardly used him.
But he hasn't said anything. That's what I'm saying. He's had what? 4 sentences? Yeah. And he's smashing it.
Good. Because look,
that's a good villain.
That's a good villain.
Yeah.
What's for good? Don't let Filoni near the typewriter when it comes to dialogue. Good. That's why Dave Stevenson's character's great, because
I love you, Dave.
Dialogue. Yes. Filoni, leave him alone now. Please leave him alone.
But
you can't write dialogue.
We've got a lot to look forward to, I think. Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to. Like, right, so something you specifically, Hog, have been moaning about with Star Wars.
Me?
You. Why can't they do more Star Wars just slightly over there?
Yes.
Right. Yeah. So the potential of this show by introducing a new galaxy takes us from here in a galaxy far, far away to a galaxy slightly further away. Yeah. And we can do all new stuff. We don't know what the Force is over there. We don't know if the Force translates in that galaxy. We haven't got any information about that galaxy. We could have a whole new set of rules for Star Wars moving forward.
Oh no! I think if they change the rules of the Force in another galaxy, that will that's basically what we wanted to tell, a science fiction story that was kind of like Star Wars, but it wasn't. So we just said it was in a different galaxy. I don't buy that. They better not do that.
If the big reveal is that Thrawn's been hiding out on Earth and the galaxy they're pointing to is the Milky Way, I'm gonna fucking shoot someone.
That'd be a bit disappointing.
Oh my gosh! Yes.
He's been hiding out on Earth in the 1980s.
Yeah. He's Elon Musk. He's actually Elon Musk.
That would be disappointing. But no, for me personally, there's a lot to look forward to, but it's all based around the intrigue of who people are, where they're going, what they're doing. Not necessarily to do with Ahsoka, which is a bit annoying.
I will carry on. I'll carry on watching it. I'm not hating it.
It's better than Mando the last season.
Objectively, it's better than Mando, better than Obi-Wan, better than Boba Fett. So it's the best thing we've had so far.
Don't say no.
You still rate it against Andor?
I would put it second to Andor.
Yeah.
At the moment.
At the moment, second to Andor.
If we actually get decent story and proper action and stuff that makes sense for the rest of this season.
Having said that, we've got the benefit of the entire series of Andor to comment on.
Yeah.
There were some episodes of that were dull.
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of walking and a lot of talking.
Perhaps that's where everybody is in this show. They're all off walking and talking. They're all out having a quick chat.
And this is what Liz always goes back to, which is the formatting of it, which is dump the whole lot. Let us just binge it.
Yeah.
Because they're losing millions of subscribers.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I agree with you.
Anyway, so they're hemorrhaging. They're hemorrhaging subscriptions. So just dump the whole lot and at least let us have some fun for what would it be? 8 episodes, like 4 hours or 4 or 5 hours, and just let us binge it. Why do you think? I know why they think the weekly format works, because they're going to stay subscribed.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. But the weekly format can work, but you can't just deliver me half an episode.
No,
deliver me a full episode.
29 minutes it runs for the first.
And it generally is half an episode. It felt like where episode 3 ends, it felt like the midpoint of an episode. That's how it felt to me. It felt like the midpoint.
You know what's interesting about the idea? Okay, why I don't understand why Netflix hasn't done this yet. I mean, I understand we're as Westerners, we're used to having it chapter by chapter, right? Like there's a self-contained sort of almost story in each episode.
Yeah.
But I watch Chinese shows a lot, and they don't do that at all. It'll be 52 episodes. Each one is 59 minutes long. And they're just telling a streamlined story, and they just cut it off at 59 minutes. Wherever it is, in the middle of a conversation between two characters, they're just like, you're done. And then you get the next one. And I enjoy them because they film a complete story. And then they say, and that's it. It's only 52 episodes. You're never going to get a sequel or like season 2. It's just one and done. But I'm hooked on those because, and I'll wait for them week by week, because I know that this story has already been completed. It comes to a good end. They're not going to leave anything open, and you're going to have a season 2. It's like, it's all going to come together and make sense at the end. And I'm wondering how people in the West would like that. Like, would we be more open to a weekly drop if we felt like we know this is going to be a streamlined story and it's going to come to a satisfying end, because they don't plan for a season 2 where they're going to, oh, and now you have to keep watching after this. But it's like what you said, Hog, that, keep people subscribed. But see, that I would subscribe to something that I knew was putting out a long ass show, but it was going to be a complete show. It was going to be all one story that's out and done. But I mean, freaking 52. I watched a 74 episode show, 74 hours of a show, because I was like, I know it's going to end well. And it did. It ended great. I was like, this is great. I'm so happy I watched it. The 74 hours was not wasted. If they need more time to do it, I wonder if this would be a way that they could.
Is that,
I don't know.
Would you say it though, Amber, that's more of a soap opera format or not? Is it?
No, because a soap opera never ends. It just keeps going. This comes to an end. These stories, they get to the finale and it's over. Like, I watched one where you're following like an unknown guy who's on a revenge mission. He shows up in the palace. Nobody knows who he is. He looks different from how he used to be, but he's there to take revenge on the emperor. And it takes him 74 episodes, and he finally does it. And then he dies at the end, and it's over. And it was like, that was satisfying. Got to the end, and I don't have to watch a season 2. So, it's satisfying. And I was willing to cut off scenes in the middle of a conversation because I knew this is going somewhere. And I think it puts less restrictions on the writers too. They're not like, okay, now we have to have something happen in this first bit here that ends right at the 59 mark. And then, the next bit has to have something in it.
What was the pacing like though with that? What was the pacing like? Was it good pacing all the way through?
It was great. I mean, that show in particular, it was like one of those super low budget ones, but it was intriguing because he was like gaining alliances and setting up spies all over the palace. So at a certain point, maybe like 30 episodes in, you're going, holy crap, there are so many moving parts in this plot of revenge. There's always something to go in and check on and be like, what are they doing now? So it would probably take a bigger cast, but at the same time, just knowing that I could watch all of this and get to the end and have at least a complete story is what I think a lot of people, that's why it appeals to a lot of people, and they're willing to wait for each chapter because they know it's going to be a good, complete story. Do we know that with a lot of these Star Wars and DC and whatever? Like, I feel like we just expect that we're going to get to the end and feel like we didn't really end it, did we?
I'll say my favorite characters.
I have a thought on this. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with Chatto. He runs a YouTube channel called the Former Network Executive Reaction.
Oh yeah, you've showed me his videos. They're good.
Yeah, and so he's really interesting to watch because he was a former network executive, so he approaches a lot of these subjects on from that point of view rather than just being a plain viewer. So recently he had discussed how the networks had a format. So they had a weekly format, and they understood that, we do this, we do this, we do this, and then people are going to tune in next week because, they know what to expect. And if it was a continuing story, format, then they would be left with a cliffhanger and want to be drawn in, right? So I'm wondering if that what we're seeing is with the streaming services that they are if you want to dump them all at once, that's fine, right? Hog, I think that's what you brought up, right? And Liz, you could just dump them all. And I think that they're writing in a way that serves that format better. If they want to do a weekly, one episode every week, I think they really need to go back to what was worked for the networks for decades.
Yes.
And use that format, and they're doing the streaming format, and it just doesn't work on a week-to-week basis.
And it will be, it will take a while because everything goes in a cycle. And I think we discussed before about the show, and you're right, Randy, because everything goes round in a cycle. And at the moment, with streaming, it really is in its infancy still. Yeah. And you've got to put Amazon to one side because they've got so much money, and paying Amazon, subscribing to Amazon Prime is just an add-on to their services. You can get your parcels delivered for free when you go on their main. They're not there to give us entertainment really on our TV. They're there to give us parcels really. So, but apart from them, when you get into the Netflix models and the Hulu and the Disney Plus and all the rest of it, we are really, really in an infancy here with these models, because they're all going back to, even Dismal are now saying, we're putting our prices up, but you can have a cheaper version with advertising. And I know I've said this before, and I will keep saying it. That used to be the measure, of your entertainment. Back in the network days, Randy, you're talking about.
Oh yeah,
it used to be your measure. If you couldn't sell advertising, if you got the viewing figures. You was up in your office on the top floor. You got the viewing figures for your TV shows. It was the measure, right? Who liked what? The top 20. Yeah, if you weren't in the top 20, your show was cancelled. And we've all got our favourites. Firefly.
Yeah.
And a ton of other sci-fi shows that were cancelled because they didn't cut the mustard. You could say that they was being built up and there was very good writing and there's very good directing and they're cult hits. But looking back on that now, that can only be that can be the only way. That there's got to be measurements. There's got to be balances. Because at the moment, what's happening? Everyone's stumbling. Everyone's stumbling about. Apart from when you get that odd hit, you get you get a Breaking Bad, or you get a Better Call Saul, or you get a Stranger Things, or you get Squid Games, but they're so rare. They are rare now, aren't they? I mean, where are the big hits we're relying on? Like earlier, StarWars.com reckons 14 million viewers. If you're going to listen to they say views, all right, views, against 1.2 million down here, Samba TV, right? Like I said earlier, somewhere in the middle, that is still very lackluster compared to the amount of subscribers they've got. Let's take it at 14 million. 14 million people out of 200 odd million subscribers, really?
Have they still got 200 million subscribers?
Well, all right, because they've lost a load, didn't they?
They've lost a lot.
Even if they only had 100 million, if they had 100 million subscribers, 14 million, what, 10% of your viewership?
Yeah, but looking at since Disney Plus, I'm targeting them directly. Looking at their model since day one, it's always been weekly. It's always been half episodes, half hour shows, half episodes, and you can tell us a good story in half an hour. You can tell a really good story in 20 minutes if you want to, 10 minutes if you really
the whole animated world based around that.
A storytelling, you could tell a good story in 5 fucking minutes. But they're releasing, the way they're doing it, they're releasing half episodes every week. And that model has not worked for them since day one.
No, they're in
At what point, and bearing in mind all of the Marvel shows, all the Star Wars shows, it hasn't worked. Your model of entertainment has not worked. And we're talking, what, 15 shows between the two of them, roughly? After 15 shows of this format not working, at what point do you think, oh, hang on a minute, should we try something different?
No, they blame the fans. That's the get out. They blame the fans.
That's the other one. Yeah, you're right.
It's all the fans.
Yeah, you're right.
It's shocking.
Racist,
It's shocking.
We're racist, we're misogynist, we're everything. Homophobic.
It's shocking, man.
But I think
We've made a product. You don't like it. It's your fault.
Yeah, that's it.
It is literally that. It is literally that. Blame the fans. It's a get out for us. It's just, it's pride.
Expanding on what Liz said, back in the 90s, there was an effort, and they put out 3-minute shows. And on this one series, and you know what? They were really good. You'd see the 3 minutes, you're like, oh, I got to see the next 3 minutes of what's going on, because they had really good writing. And so they left, there was tension, and you were drawn by the story to see what was going to happen next.
If we stay on track with that, Randy, they actually did that in Star Wars as well, in an animated format with a show called Forces of Destiny. Okay. And they were 2 to 4 minutes, just little snippets. Little,
and it was popular, right?
Yeah, it was quite popular. Yeah.
Yeah. See, it's all about storytelling. It doesn't matter how much time you have. A good writer, a good storyteller is going to be able to fill that time and draw in the viewers.
Yeah, it's that one little point of view. Let's hit it hard, hit it quick, move on. Yeah,
and this goes back to the same point with the people they're getting on board with the writing, and it is Filoni that's written some of this. He's used to doing animated, but you give someone a half-hour format, and the only way they know how to do it is to almost make episode 3 part 1 and episode 4 part 2, instead of just writing a full-on episode just in that episode 3. They have to sort of split it in half. So I guarantee you, where they left it at the end of episode 3, episode 4 is going to be them surviving that planet, getting off that planet, and that arc, that part of that story will be then completed. Then it goes to the next. Then it goes to the next section, and that's the same thing they did in Andor. Andor, we had 3 episodes of them planning an attack on a base.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's just that you have, if you're going to stick to that half-hourly format, you can tell a really good story in half an hour. If you're going to stick to it, then you need a talented team of writers to deliver that story within that half an hour. And they haven't got that. And that's all
so
it is.
I do a thing on my channel that I talk about memoirs and writing family stories and stuff. And it's called the 3-sentence story. And the idea is, you can write a story in just 3 sentences. So the first sentence is the beginning, and all the stuff that normally traditionally goes into the beginning of a story goes into that. Middle, second sentence is the middle, and the third one is the ending of a story. And I've been able to write a lot of successful 3-sentence stories, because that's the format. And then that scales. You can write an interesting 3-paragraph story. You can write an interesting 3-page story. You can write an interesting 3-scene story. The whole thing, there's just a format that goes with it. And I think what we're seeing is they're not following that. So we're having these episodes that feel like half episodes, because they're only covering part of what you would need for a segment of a story. And I think that's where the problem is.
Yeah, 100%.
Definitely with the writing, fundamentally, I think there are creative people there at Disney. They need to be put under they need to be taken under someone's wings. And if they're young and they're up and coming, they're talented, you need to nurture them. And your experienced guys, they're the ones, and girls, they need to be leading the way.
Well, being extra critical in episode 3, that traditionally, now, Amber, you haven't seen episode 3 yet, have you?
No, it's okay.
Okay. So episode 3, you got Hera having an argument with the Mon Mothma, the Supreme Chancellor,
Okay.
She's having an argument with her saying, look, we think Thrawn's coming back. We need resources. We need to go and check out this planet and we need rebel resources. They say no. The rest of the episode is a little training scene with Sabine and Ahsoka, and then arriving at this planet and then getting chased by starfighters. They bump into some Purgles, the space whales, and then they land on the planet. Then Ray Stevenson goes, they're hiding out on the planet somewhere. We need to go and find them. That to me is your 10-minute intro to actually the bit. It ends on Ray Stevenson going, we need to go and find them. Now that is your 10-minute intro to get your story started. Now it's can he catch them? Can they escape? What can they do? Are they going to find out? Is there going to be a confrontation? That's your story. They cut it short. They spread out a half an hour, 35-minute episode, which should have been your 10-minute intro.
Well, you see what you're describing there is that the tension and the urgency wasn't introduced until like the end of the first episode. So I was thinking about it in the first episode of Ahsoka. I'm not talking about the Jedi the false Jedi getting on the ship. I'm talking about introduction to the character Ahsoka. She's, breaking into this temple thing and she's doing the whole code thing, to make the ball come out of the concrete shaft.
She's playing with some shafts and getting the balls going.
Well, that scene,
guys, come on.
That scene reminded me a lot of Raiders of the Lost Ark opening, right? But I was like, why was that so much more interesting? And it's because he had the freaking booby traps on his way to it. We start out with him going into the temple and things are trying to kill him. So we know even when he's like trying to take the idol, we know something bad's going to happen. There was tension there in that. We want him to get it. Yes. There was none of that. I was bored as hell until the robots showed up.
Yeah, but there wasn't even tension. There wasn't even tension when the robots showed up because Ahsoka's easily going to take them out. Yeah. Then when they press their self-destruct, there's no tension when a self-destruct takes 10 minutes to go off.
Oh yeah, we're going to self-destruct now. How are you?
In 10 minutes.
I'm just going to have a little jog. I'm just going to jog away now.
Can we just quickly reflect on? Can we just quickly reflect on that? Can we go back to every time in every movie where that's ever been done? No one has a self-destruct that goes off instantaneously. We wouldn't have got a very good ending of Predator if that was the case.
Oh, at least that was good.
Oh no, it was good. But what I'm saying, same thing.
At least Arnie was giving it large. Fuck me, he's going to self-destruct.
And a 10 megaton bomb goes off behind him. He's all right.
Yes, sir. She's middle-aged woman. She's having a little jog. She can't do any faster.
Do you remember Galaxy Quest?
The old Fitbit.
It always stops at one on the show.
Exactly.
Oh, anyway, has anyone got anything else to add? I think we've really picked that apart.
Like I say, for me, it's just the intrigue. That's the intrigue.
Ray and Bondi for me.
Yeah. And Marek and Sabine's turn.
I'm not despising it. I'm finding it hilarious, particularly episode 3. I found brilliantly hilarious.
Episode 5 is going to be good. I said this to you earlier. Episode 5 is going to be good. There's going to be something.
How do you know these things?
Because Dave Filoni's directing it.
Oh, okay.
There's a big reveal coming in episode 5.
Okay, because you said that you predicted that episode 3 was where all the new stuff was going to happen. Well, and I'm like, how is he getting this information?
No, that was just me and my understanding. So where episode 2 ended was where this season 4 of Rebels ended. They literally ended at the same point. They changed the cape because in Rebels she's wearing a white cape with a white staff, but people were like, hang on, that's a bit Gandalf. So they left her in a grey cape, but it ended in exactly the same spot as Rebels season 4. So moving forward, it has to be new.
Gotcha.
So yeah, shut up, you.
Oh, God.
Colors mean things.
We knew this is where we were going to be. We knew. As soon as Ahsoka come out, we knew it was talking about the cartoons. You got to watch.
Yeah, you have to. No, unfortunately, I mean, even Filoni said,
"Oh my God!"
Disney released their watch list, didn't they? Their essential watching beforehand.
Even Filoni said, "But the minimum you've got to watch season 4 Rebels." Minimum.
Which means you have to watch 1, 2, and 3 though to really have the patience.
Pretty much, yeah. And that's 75 hours.
Oh,
But you
yeah,
do
but-
75 hours of shows.
Yeah, but realistically, out of Rebels, and I watched the whole lot. Realistically, out of all the episodes in all the seasons, you could easily get rid of half of them from each season, and they don't.
There's a few fillers. There are.
There's a lot of fillers. There's a hell of a lot of fillers.
They're comical, but they're not story. Yeah.
Yeah, they are literally just stupid episodes.
But I still rate Twilight of the Apprentice, the finale 2 episodes of season 2. If you want to know anything about Ahsoka's character, watch those 2 episodes. It's 50 minutes. I don't think you'll regret. Hog, we sat and watched them. Be honest.
Did we?
Yes. Before we went to Celebration, actually.
Yes, the fight scene one.
Yes, where she fights Vader in the temple. Yeah,
all very well accomplished.
It's a good watch. It is a good watch.
Okay.
But anyway, no, the intrigue moving forward is going to be fun. See, episode 5. I think we're going to get something's happening. Don't know what.
After this, though, after Ahsoka, I don't think we're going to see any Star Wars for a long while.
I don't think we should. I don't think we should. I don't think we should have anything until they're ready to put a movie in the theater.
Yeah, I agree.
And that's a good 2-3 years away.
Because I thought this during the week when I was watching a few videos on Ahsoka, and they're mentioning about all the Dismal Minor stuff that's losing money. You think of all the series that they've done. I know Mando series 1 was a fairly decent hit. I think everyone agrees it was popular, and they was off to a good start. Here we go, and it all kind of fell apart from there. But you look at how much money Book of Boba Fett cost, the last series of Mandalorian, Andor, Ahsoka,
Obi-Wan.
what's the other one?
Obi-Wan
Kenobi. The money they cost, you could have made a movie. You could have done another Rogue One. Again, just one of those films that was off on the side, linked to one film, not tripping up itself and tying itself into knots with lore and canon and characters and cartoons and Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau. No, just give it to someone else, for God's sake.
A whole movie based on a scroll.
Yeah, let's do that. It's the comic books at the moment, taking certain characters from certain films and moments, just weaving a story around it.
I still want a story about the Botham spies, man, from Return of the Jedi.
Well, they've done a story about Max Rebo, and all he is a member of the band.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's it.
That's a great story. He's just getting involved in the intrigue. He's just a member of the band, but he's getting involved in the blackmail schemes and all the rest of it behind the scenes of one of the most iconic scenes in Star Wars. But it's all behind the scenes, and I just found it 32 pages, great story. It can be done. It can be done if you're willing. If you're willing, and but it goes back to the people at the top at the moment at Dismal. They don't care. They don't care. They don't want to nurture any new, properly decent talent. They just want to somehow stamp.
I think they do care. I think it's just a bit late.
They're
in what they're doing at the moment.
Stamped all over it, and it's a shame.
Yeah, no, I think they do care. the share price itself says they care. I think they're worried.
Yeah, doesn't look like it, does it? Ahsoka ain't going to be saving any share price.
No, definitely not. No.
So, Taters, is there a fan base that's like, this is fantastic, the best I've ever seen? Like, Kenobi was great, everything was great.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yes, this is the best we've ever seen. No, there even amongst the hardcore fans, they are still sort of, hang on, no, this is problematic.
Okay.
This scene takes away from that we've had in the past, but all this stuff in the past can explain what's happening here. You know,
what about
quite deep?
Because like I'm looking at Wheel of Time, and I'm experiencing a weird thing where there are super book fans who are aware that the show is breaking huge things in the lore of the story, but they're like still shilling over this show. And
pride, though, isn't it? Like I said,
it makes
pride.
It makes no sense to me. And then I've been reading some of the comments from the showrunner, a guy who he basically has said, like, first he sold it. I'm going to do the Wheel of Time. It's going to be great. I'm a huge fan, and it's going to be wonderfully, true to the heart of the story and whatever. And it's come out and everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, you've changed all this stuff. And he's like, well, when you're in charge, you get to do what you want, basically.
Yeah.
Like, so, and
It's
now
a
it's like,
knob.
yeah, he literally said, I think in one of his tweets, where he was talking about people who are criticizing the choices that he's made. He's like, well, when you're the one who gets to make all the decisions, you get to do whatever you want. So you know what? I'm going to do stuff to piss them off now.
Yeah.
And like, that's what he's doing.
It's,
And like, it's
What
not
a-
good.
what an
I think
absolute
those
knob.
people cling. It's like a pride thing. It's just like, that's my show, that's my book, that's my thing. So I have to be behind it no matter what. Like me,
Well,
we all know I love Ahsoka as a character. I think she's got the best story arc across the whole of Star Wars. But this show, there's problems. There is problems.
But there are shills who, even though it's problems,
yeah,
they're like, it's still great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that they only hear those people. Because I was reading the tweet that he said where, I get to do what I want because I'm in charge. I'm the one in the creative control. You're the one that was the phrase that he used. He had support underneath that. Like, you do what you need to, like, we love you and we love everything that you're doing. Thanks for adapting this. I'm like, shut the
but
fuck
surely
up.
the bosses, like, right. So you're his boss and you see him say that and you go, what, you intentionally going to piss off the majority of the fan base and act like an arrogant little brat? You're fired. Done. Bye.
But see, the views are still very high.
Why does that not happen?
This is where it goes wrong, because there's no measure for that man. There's no measure against what he produces. How do you measure his productivity on a business level?
You guys know Disparu, right?
Yes.
He put out a really interesting video and to me, it was just like eye-opening. All right. And I always suspected something like this was going on. I didn't realize it was to this extent. So they count, like, the studios will count not just like views, like as opposed to viewers, right? But also mentions online. Like, anytime somebody has like said Wheel of Time series, whether it's in a good context or bad. And like my YouTube video is about how Wheel of Time show is just really sucking right now, right? And all my comments underneath that, each one of those is counted as like a credit to the show. Like, congratulations, Wheel of Time. You're a success. You've got 1,000 people commenting on one video that's just about you. Like, that to them, no matter whether it's good or bad, they count as like an engagement, like one engagement. Like, that's for us. Like, that means we're doing really well. And I think that's why shows like Rings of Power got second seasons, because all of the negative feedback was counted as positive because it was feedback. But the fact that they're like, even like any mention on Google, any comment in a YouTube video, anything that mentions the show at all, mentions it, even if it's somebody like, have you heard of this show, Wheel of Time? Nope. That's 2 engagements. Have you heard of it? No. That counts.
Yeah.
Like, it's so freaking bizarre to me, but they see that and they go, yes.
I don't understand how you can quantify that. Okay, people are going to talk about it. Great. Okay, that's the engagement. But you need it to be rated. If every single engagement, if someone actually looked into it, every single engagement's negative, you can't be patting yourself on the back and going, "I'm doing a good job here."
But that's the point. They are.
Like,
what
how
about
can
Velma?
how can you do that?
Yeah.
How can you pat yourself on the back and go, "Oh, great, everyone hates it. We've done a really shit job here." Oh, great.
I think there are
well done, everyone. Well done. Crack out the
shills.
champagne.
I'm thinking like they must be blind to the negativity because of that handful of shills who just like, we will worship whatever you put out. And half the time I have to wonder if they're being paid. So one of the no, I'm not kidding. I'm serious. What's his name? There's another YouTuber, a booktuber, Daniel Green. He was like the online authority of Wheel of Time stuff, right? And he outed Amazon saying, and I think another guy I really like watching his stuff did the same thing for another show, Rings of Power. Amazon contacted them and said, we will pay you a bunch of money to do a review of the show. We will give you early episodes. And their response was, okay, but I have to be able to say whatever I want. And then the deal was taken away from them because they weren't willing to only say positive things. So they are putting money out there for people to give positive reviews, positive feedback. Don't you think people would jump on that bandwagon really fast? They become like a 50-cent army, basically. You know, like, oh, I go out and I talk positive about the Wheel of Time, and they're going to give me, you know, $5 for every post that I put out there or whatever. There are people who will do that. Enough people out there who will do that around the world, not just here or over there in England. That I think that could do it. Like, they're paying for their positive interactions or positive engagements that are feeding into this monster. they're feeding themselves. It's weird. It's so bizarre to me.
Yeah,
they're only eating themselves, to be fair.
Yeah, well, they're all losing money, so I think we're finally starting to see the fallout from that. That
yeah, it is
dying.
Yeah, we are seeing the end of this cycle. Like I say, I think it ends with everyone going back to advertising.
Yeah.
Sorry, and I know that sounds really boring, but I don't see even Netflix, which is still the juggernaut. You know, like I say, we have to leave Amazon to one side because it's a different thing. But Netflix set themselves up. They've got a lot of money and they've earned a lot of money and they've still got a lot of subscribers. You know, there's still going to be an ebb and a flow with any of those channels, always. Nevertheless, even you're going to get to a point where you haven't got any more subscribers. And how much money per subscriber per month sustains?
But Amazon's got it made because they're not just offering, like you said, they're parcel delivery.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
and that's a case that's a case in my household. So my wife has Amazon Prime account because she wants packages to get delivered when she orders. I mean, she orders a lot of stuff online and it's free, free delivery. And we also can watch a lot of the movies and stuff that's there. And by movies, I mean the older stuff, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of old movies, 80s, 70s, 90s, and we can watch it for free, as opposed to having to pay for one of the other services. So Amber's right, and whoever mentioned it before, that's a completely different beast. That's their bread and butter. So, they can...
So Amazon is changing how it's doing things quite rapidly. So they've already got all these different subscriptions, so like Paramount and Warner Brothers. You have to pay extra for all these different things, and I think it's like MGM as well. But I heard recently, I don't know how true it is, just saying I randomly heard, they are changing their deliveries for the Prime. So
I heard that too.
Yeah, so I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're basically going to be charging you for deliveries on top of everything else.
I think that's going to hurt them.
I agree with you, Randy. That is going to hurt them because as soon as they start charging for deliveries, people will just cancel their accounts.
Yeah.
It's coming.
I know I will.
It's for $7.99 or $8.99, $10, whatever you want to call it, for any of these streaming services. Just call it $10 a month, whether it's Netflix, Amazon, etc., right? How many new shows are you going to get every week for that? At 10 quid. It can't. It's got to end. The only real revenue stream. Let's see how near to what this prediction is. It's got to go back to something like the old network advertising model. It must.
Well, the only other good thing that Amazon's got going for itself on Prime is the fact that you've got the rent and buy options for certain films, so you can pretty much get everything on there. Rent or buy, or just watch what's on Prime. Now, Amazon for the rent and buy must get a nice percentage of that because you're renting and buying through them. So I think that's the only thing really, the rent and buy, and almost just pay for what you want to watch. And the fact that it's got that option, like John Wick 4 as an example. John Wick 4 appeared on my Amazon as a home premiere. You could pay £10 and watch it at home. And I think pretty sure it only just come out of the cinema like the day before when it first appeared on my Amazon. Yeah, literally. So it done its cinema run, stopped its cinema. A day later, it's come up as the home premiere.
Right.
And you can pay like 10, 13 quid or whatever to watch it, and you got 48 hours to watch it. And then obviously it comes out, you got your rent and buy and all that sort of stuff.
You know, the pressure would be on if they made it pay by the series or pay by the show. Like, that's how you watch it, right? Like maybe a subscription, like $10 a month, will get you a few free episodes. What is there is one network that does this. Is it Hulu? I think it might be Hulu, where you get a couple of episodes and then after a certain point, no more. You have to buy the subscription or whatever, something, and you get no more. I think that would be an effective way. And it would also put the pressure on the writers to put out, or the producers to put out only good quality content, because if it's not selling, if people aren't hooked in those first couple episodes, it's over.
Yeah.
That's not a bad format. And again, say exactly that. It puts pressure. Well, it's not putting pressure on the writers as much. It's putting pressure on the producers, the showrunners, to get the best talent they can.
Right.
Actors, everything, directors. Because, my God, we've now got, if it's the 2 episode that you just said, Amber, that would be awesome. Because, like, if you haven't hooked people with them first 2 episodes, my God. And usually, I think it's 2 or 3. You've got to give a new series 2 or 3 episodes, like, you know, we've spoken about in the past. And like we're saying about Ahsoka, you know, we're kind of picking it apart, but we're not looking at it in its totality. But that would be a good, that wouldn't be a bad, I still say you can't beat measuring viewership per episode with advertising and the pressure that brings, and the structure it brings, and the discipline it brings, and it makes you raise your game. It makes everyone raise their game from the top all the way down. There's none of this imposing your own personal ideology on things, because if it doesn't sell advertising space, you're gone. You're gone within 1 season. You're dead. And
the subscription basis is really kind of the old network advertising. It's just kind of adjusted for the new format, right? I mean, it's the same basic thing. Previously, the networks relied on the reaction and, you know, to buy, you know, commercial space and everything to pay for the shows. So it's just like I said, it's just adapted to this new format. And that's what's going to bring results, right? Good shows are going to get money. I mean, we've seen that with The Chosen, right? So The Chosen, that's all they do is The Chosen, right? And you have to subscribe specifically to that show, and they're doing very well. And it's a good quality show.
I tell you what, Apple TV and Paramount Plus seem to be doing the ones that no one really talks about. I mean, I just started watching a series called Lioness.
My mom has been watching that. She loved it.
Yeah, it's absolutely superb. Zoe Saldana, the bloke who did Sicario 1 and 2, Taylor Sheridan, I think his name is. You know, he's researched it, and it's just adult stuff. It's just well made, well directed, well acted, and they make it look easy. The first episode introduces all the characters. It's, you know, you could call it standard, but I want it.
What's the premise of Lioness? I haven't heard nothing about it.
Lioness, Zoe Saldana, and the mostly unknowns actually in this scene. Nicole Kidman, and she is basically a CIA.
Mainly unknowns.
Nicole Kidman.
If you remember her from such movies as, I don't know what she was in.
BMX Bandits.
That's painful. You've lost my train.
What's the premise?
Premise of Lioness.
Right, you need undercover. You need female undercover operatives to infiltrate.
Doesn't that sting you straight away, though?
It was a warning bell to me too, but they do it right. The characters are interesting. Interesting. They're interesting characters. Except for the one who's stupid. I don't like her.
Only bad in Star Wars.
What, the terrorist girl?
No, the girl who gets recruited at the beginning. She's the one who gets out of the abusive relationship. That one.
Yes,
she's dumb. She's dumb as shit. I can't stand her. Yeah, she makes mistakes like when she gets roofied at the bar. I was like Like, what kind of moron grows up in, rough situations and then goes to a bar and doesn't know? You don't leave your drink in the hands of a stranger. I don't know. It just seemed dumb.
I didn't see that.
Okay. Well, okay. So here's the premise, because they were trying to figure out, you need undercover female operatives in places like Iran and whatever. It doesn't, just all over the world, to infiltrate like terrorist organizations from the outside without looking suspicious, like befriend the sister of the terrorist guy kind of thing. Like, and then they go in and they get information, and that's the premise, essentially. They're spies. They're women spies who also have military training, and they can withstand like interrogation and stuff like that.
It's kind of like
cool.
Charlie's Angels.
It's a great setup, and Zoe's Aldana.
It's a drama though, but not yeah, like Charlie's Angels kind of.
It's not Charlie's Angels.
Sounds quite good, to be fair. No, I've only heard of it.
If only we could have a new series of Charlie's Angels with Bosley, John Bosley. Oh,
Hog, check out Rabbit Hole. Have you heard of Rabbit Hole?
I've never heard of Rabbit Hole briefly before, didn't we?
Did we?
I think Hog. I think you watched it a while back.
yes.
Yeah, that was good.
And that rabbit hole.
Huh?
What was
We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But that's the one where he's like, it's like intrigue in the corporate world, where like, and I think they're dealing with
with Kiefer
data
Sutherland.
collection. Yes.
Kiefer Sutherland. Yes.
Yeah.
I thought I was talking about a metaphorical rabbit hole then.
There was
my mom's been watching both of those at the same time.
There loads.
My mom's been watching both of those at the same time, and she says so far I think she's mostly done with the first season of each. She's like, I'm enjoying Rabbit Hole a little bit more than the other one, but they're both super good. They're both really interesting. So
Tell your mum she's got good taste, Amber.
I will tell her that.
What's the up? I keep hearing everyone keeps saying to me about Yellowstone. Has anyone watched that? Is that any good?
I have. It's good. I
started, but I don't know. I drifted off it a bit. Maybe
Okay, that is the problem with Yellowstone. It is a very slow start.
This is the one with Yogi Bear, yeah?
This is the one with Kevin Costner.
Wrong Yellowstone, sorry.
No, that's a good show, but it took, because both my parents and we all tried to get into it, like it maybe 2 or 3 times. We're like, I can't. I get through the first 2 episodes and I'm like, boring, want out of here. But once it takes off, it really takes off and you're really invested. So you do have to I wish I could say I know which episode it takes off at, but once it does get rolling, you're hooked.
Okay.
I would say though, towards the end, the writing gets a little less, it's not as great towards the end, but there's some good spin-off shows too. This writer is interesting. The guy who writes Yellowstone has an interesting story. Like, he was not a writer, and he was like, I'll write this episode for you. And like, he just started pumping out, like in one night, he would write a whole episode, and they're like, what the hell? This is like some of the best stuff I've read. And like, it's an interesting story. Go look him up. I don't remember his name. Mom, what's the name of the guy what's his name? Taylor Sheridan.
Oh, Taylor Sheridan. That's the one who's done
Lioness.
Another one. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a great
writer. He is writing a shit ton of stuff, and it's pretty good. He at least starts his stories out really well, and his characters are always interesting. I'm wondering if he has trouble with endings. I haven't watched anything all the way through of his, but every time I go by, like a show that's his, I'm like, I can't walk past the TV without going, what's happening? So he does get there, but I think the endings
obviously he can just write drama.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's drama.
Quickly.
Like I say, just intention, obstacle, there we go. Here's the character, la. So, wow. One Piece, Netflix. Anyone see it?
Yeah. I watched 2 episodes.
I've managed to do episode 1.
I've been back and forth.
What you done?
I've been back and forth. I started watching episode 1, got distracted, watched the end of episode 1, watched a bit at the beginning of 2, then got distracted again. This is the life with kids. And so I've watched bits of each episode so far up to about episode 5.
You and your kids. You and your kids and paying attention to them, Tayters. God.
Well, normally just shove them in the garden or in a dog kennel, and it's just every now and again they need feeding, apparently.
The purpose-built coach. Who wants to crack off on that? Who wants to lead on? Who wants to?
I'll go on that one quickly.
That one, please.
Mine's short and sweet, to be fair. I've only watched one episode. It was wacky, weird, crazy. I came out of the one episode not quite knowing how I felt, but I was intrigued, and there was enough there. I think it was just so wild and crazy that I was intrigued to see what would happen next. And I think that's a good thing, but I still don't know how I feel about it. I said to you earlier, Hog, I literally watched it, and I don't know if I liked it or hated it. And I think it will be one of those Marmite shows.
Yeah.
Where you're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. But saying that, I don't know anything about the anime. I don't know anything about the story or anything of its history. But just coming in, the lead was a little bit annoying for me. It was a little bit annoying. I was intrigued by the samurai dude with the green hair.
Mm-hmm.
I was intrigued by the pink hair girl,
Mm-hmm.
the thief, and yeah, it was just a crazy, weird, wild, wacky. I think if you was off your nut, you'd be tripping. This would be right up your alley. To be totally honest with you, I think if you was on something, you'd be going, "Whoa, man!"
Yeah.
I think the general understanding of this series, because I haven't read it, I haven't watched the anime, anything. I just know that it's very much loved, and it's loved because it is wild and goofy. It's a pirate fantasy.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's going to be wild and goofy, but it has very good heart underneath it. Like the main character, maybe he didn't resonate well with you, but like my mom loved him. She's like, I love this character. He's so like, he's got this positive charm to him. And that was the thing that I came away from all of it. I was like, this is wild and goofy. I'm sitting there going, what the hell? Like, what's with this guy who gets chopped up and flying body parts everywhere? Like, this is weird.
Yeah.
It's so wild. But at the same time, there's heart underneath there. Like, and that gives it a charm. Like,
it's definitely unique.
Yeah.
It's
I can see why people would love it. I can see why people would love it.
And visually, like the Marines, the pirates, the world they've created is visually very unique, which is what intrigued me the most. Like, we haven't really seen anything like that. Like, the Marines literally looked like sailors, didn't they?
Yeah.
It was
very close. It's very close to the anime. Very close.
Yeah, and I agree. I think it's the best live action I've seen that gets that gets close.
Alita.
I haven't seen the anime, but I've read the manga.
Alita.
When I had the shops, that kind of got near it.
I thought that was spot on.
But when you watch something like Cowboy Bebop,
that was
a miss. That was such a misfire.
Yeah.
The live action guys and girls just didn't get it. They just didn't get that wackiness, that madness of it. But for me, watched the first 2 episodes of it today, One Piece, and I thought they all get it.
Yeah.
Liz, you don't like the guy in the lead, but I think he's spot on.
Yeah.
He's mad as a bag of frogs.
Yeah.
And
I don't know what it was. I don't know what it was about him.
I'm mad.
I don't know what it was about him. He was. I don't know. I don't know what it was. There was just something there that I just wasn't quite connecting with.
Well, you can't make everyone happy all the time, can you? So
no, did you watch? You watched 1 episode or 2, Lizard?
Only the first episode.
Okay,
so far.
he shows more heart in the 2nd episode. You start getting into his backstory, and it gives some context to his attitude. Okay. That was actually, for me, that was the big test, because at the beginning of episode 2, or was it the beginning of episode 2 or it was in episode 1? Doesn't matter. I think it was in episode 2. They started showing his backstory, and I was like, who is this shit kid? I don't like him. Like, how is he going to develop into this charming character? And they did it in a way that I thought worked, because I was like, he's gonna have to go through something, and they did it right. Like, I'm curious about those things. How do you turn a terrible character into a great character? And it was someone he loved. I'm not going to spoil anything. Someone he loved and respected made a big sacrifice just to save him. And
is that person that you loved? Is that the hat that he wears?
Yes. And
Okay.
it happens at the end of episode 2. And I was like, that was a believable turning point for this obnoxious kid character to turn into what we see now. So
Okay, that's cool. That's cool.
yeah.
Okay.
So but
I'm definitely going to watch. I'm definitely going to watch more of it. It would, like I say, it was very wild and wacky, and I wasn't quite sure. It's something I think I need to watch some more of. The one bit that did really make me laugh though in episode 1 was when the samurai dude's got 3 swords.
oh yeah.
And they're like, well, why has he got 3 swords? We're like, where does the other one go? And then he puts the third one in his mouth. It's just like, what the hell?
I loved
crazy.
the guy with the sword in front of the mirror. Oh my gosh. I was like,
Oh,
this
what naked?
is so perfect. I loved it.
Yeah, and he just walks into the room and he's got the little cuddly toy, and it squeaks as well. It had to squeak.
It did have to
Like
squeak.
that. It just had to squeak because he put it there between his legs. It had to squeak, and I thought, yes, come on. And it's a fun. They've tackled the anime head on.
Yeah.
Everything that made it weird, even the bird at the beginning that he's talking to. He's talking to the audience. Even that
Seagull.
Yeah, he's mental.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued by that pirate clown.
They just went for it. I love it.
I'm intrigued by that pirate clown.
He's crazy.
That's
Yeah, I'm intrigued by him.
Yeah, you're in for it for episode 2 with that pirate clown.
Yeah,
but like I love just the concept is it's limitless in what it can do. It's a fantasy, it's pirates, it's hundreds of islands. Like any island can be its own universe. Like this is a great setup to a lot of opportunity. If you have good characters with heart that people can root for, which I think that they're building that pretty well. I mean, is there any one of the 3 so far? Well, 4, I guess, if you include the pink-haired guy, that you're like, I can't stand that character. I mean, Blizzard, you didn't like the actor, but what about the character himself? I guess it'll count more after episode 2.
Yeah, like so I think on just watching episode 1, it's not I didn't like him. It's the fact that there was just something not quite right for me with him. I don't know what it was. I can't put my finger on it. It just didn't connect straight away. Maybe it was just the weird wackiness of everything. Yeah. And you got this guy just all smiley and just like goofing around all the time. I don't know. But yeah, I'm intrigued by it overall. I'm intrigued, but I still don't quite know how I feel about it. But it is only 1 episode for me, so I'm very intrigued. Like I say, it's weird, wacky, wonderful, and all that sort of stuff. But I love the action. I need to watch more. I thought it was very well choreographed. I must say that.
Yeah, that stood out to me and to my mom too. My mom was like, "This." The samurai guy you're talking about, she's like, he has some training of some, he actually is like a sword fighter, like he knows how to do that stuff.
Nice.
And so it lends to some really interesting, fun action scenes. I'm expecting, so this show has been in production for 7 years with Netflix.
Wow.
So this, I think I said it a few hogcasts ago, I think that this and Avatar: The Last Airbender are like Netflix's big shots. Like Stranger Things is kind of, it's fallen off the cliff, I think. Yeah. Or it's lost its pizzazz. But these are like, we got to do something. And these are them. You've got the comedy action. And then, I mean, they're both like in the same genre, or wheelhouse. Yeah. They're both action. There's going to be drama and there's going to be comedy. Like it's a lot of fun stuff. And they're both fantasies. Yeah. So
Netflix has got a long way to catch up. Well, they got a lot. Where are we now with One Piece in anime? Like we're 1070 or 1072 episodes.
Chapter 1901, I think.
They've got to end it though.
I'm sure it's 1070 or 1072 or something.
Chapter 1901, I think. Is the latest.
Has he found the One Piece yet? After 1000 episodes?
No.
So Netflix has got a long way to go.
No, he did find it. He found it in episode 1020, and now he's after 2 pieces now.
Just on, so Netflix, what they got coming up. So they got Stranger Things season 5 when the writers and actors strike finally finishes. Amber, I will implore you to watch Stranger Things season 4. Season 4 smashes it. It absolutely smashes it. It raises the bar.
Oh, you've been rewatching.
Do you think they're going?
Oh, actually,
yeah, rewatching it, mate. Rewatching it. Yeah, I've been rewatching the whole lot.
Will they do a 5 afterwards? Do you think? Is it open window like that?
Yeah, no, 5 is happening. Stranger Things 5 is happening. It's the last one. But yeah, so I rewatched season 1 and 2 of Stranger Things. Didn't remember most of it, to be honest, because the last time I watched it was when it first came out. I enjoyed them. I thoroughly enjoyed them. I thought it was all right all the way through. There was a bit of a weird bit towards the end of season 2, and then season 3 just started. But I remember season 3. Season 3 is okay, and then season 4 just goes back up to the heights of season 1, if not in certain aspects beyond it. It does really, really well, really well. So season 4 is awesome. So they've got one last season of Stranger Things now. Hopefully, it's not going to go down the lines of Game of Thrones or anything like that, where it's a shitter of a season and it's a good one. But they've only got one season left. So yeah, you're right. They need that next big thing. Yeah, they need that next big thing to move them forwards. And the only other thing that Netflix has got really, which I'm intrigued by, is that Rebel Moon with Snyder.
Cobra Kai Series 6. Cobra Kai.
There you go, Cobra Kai Series 6 as well.
Well, wait a minute. Is Rebel Moon? I know we're going to get to it, but is Rebel Moon a movie or a series? Because I was like, this looks like a lot of story. It must be a series, right?
It's a at the moment.
Two-part.
It's a two-part movie.
Okay, and it's going to be on Netflix though. So
yeah.
okay,
yeah, it's going to be on Netflix. But now they're saying that there's going to be a part 3, and he's going to try and create a whole universe and IP out of it. He wants to make it massive.
Oh, that's a
what
bad
he's saying.
idea. I don't like that. That's a bad.
I know.
Red flag number 1.
Yeah. At the very least, I think, depending on how well received 1 and 2 are, so part 1 and part 2, at the very least, I think he's going to do a part 3 to finish it all off properly.
Like the look. I did like the look of the trailer. I've got to say, he is. How do I put this? I think he's heavily leaning on June.
Yes, just a little bit.
With the king. There's a king instead of an emperor, and there's vibes.
And they've got fire swords instead of lightsabers.
Yeah.
Deep,
there is a bloke running across the mountain and jumping onto a bird instead of jumping onto a sandworm. So
I'm not being funny. As soon as I love it. As soon as you have Anthony Hopkins narrating your trailer, you know there's going to be something in there.
Yeah, but it's really heavily.
I'm pretty sure Anthony Hopkins is voicing a robot.
What? Okay.
In Rebel Moon, I'm pretty sure he's just providing voice for a robot, and the robot used to serve the old monarchy that's been killed out.
Yeah, the old king, the old emperor.
Yeah, which will be pretty cool.
I reread June. Because I thought
that's been delayed, isn't it?
Oh, to March.
Oh, why? That was the thing we was all looking forward to this year.
I know.
I can reread the trilogy before then.
Why? I don't understand why delay it with everything that's going on with the strikes, and you know there's going to be a void.
It's all filmed, so it's all in post.
It does make you wonder how much stock they put by, or what they know that we don't. What do they know that we don't about putting the actors and actresses on the sofas doing the rounds?
Is it the
matter? I don't know.
I don't think that matters. I think it's them going, right, we've got this content that we've got. We need to stretch that out.
Yes.
Is what I think it is.
I think you're spot on there. Yeah, I didn't think of it from that point of view.
To fill the gap. But
they meant to, then they've got a gap next year, haven't they? So they're doing is they're just stretching things. It's not about the actors on sofas. It's about eking it out, I suppose.
Wait, so you think that they're delaying it because they know there's going to be a gap in stuff that comes out?
Yeah. They've got no other films to...
Wow. That's weird.
I mean, we aren't going to see it. I don't think we're going to see the real effects of this strike till next year.
No.
I mean, doing Dismal a favour because they're just putting everything back and back and back, aren't they? So they're loving it.
I hope they don't delay the Marvels again.
No, they can't. They can't delay the Marvels. My channel needs it.
Okay, but it seems to me that they have a lot of stuff in the can that they're not actually planning on releasing anymore, because all the studios will have that, right? They'll do a project and it doesn't turn out for whatever reason quite the way they want it to. So I think that they could pull product. I'm not saying it would be good, but then again, most of the stuff we're seeing isn't good anyways. But I
Yes,
think
you
there's
said it.
stuff that they could.
How
they could
funny?
put out
How
there.
funny would it be if one of the things that they canned and they weren't planning to release, they're so desperate they have to release it, and it turns out it's the most epic thing they've ever released.
Yeah.
Right? That'd be awesome.
So, Randy,
Yeah.
we need Randy's random review now to lighten
Yeah.
the mood.
You've got to drop a card in there, Hog.
Dean, you've been, I'll tell you what, out of all of us, you're the one who's been the cinema goer par excellence. You've been backwards and forwards, seeing Barbie 4 times, Oppenheimer.
Well, not quite 4. Did we talk about Barbie before?
No, but don't talk about it.
What? Okay.
Go on, then. If you want to make, you've got one choice, Randy, for Randy's random review. There's nothing at all to do with my channel and what I'm interested in. You go for it, man.
Well, if you want me to talk about the best movie I've seen this year, that would be Gran Turismo.
Right. This is the one you mentioned. So go on, go for it.
So
Right.
Gran
What
Turismo,
made this a good film?
I'm sorry, what?
What made this a good film? I saw the trailer when I went to see Oppenheimer, to be fair, and it looked like more Fast and Furious, but not.
Yeah. Okay, for me, I would classify it as a sports movie.
Right.
So storyline wise, it follows a sports movie. We've got the underdogs, which are the video gamers. And of course, they do make the distinction. And I think the products behind what's going on really wants everyone to know that it's not a video game. It is a driving simulator.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
Because that is a different audience. That is a sports audience who could enjoy a driving simulator, but would stay away from the movie and the product if it was a video game, right? So it's both. I mean, whatever you want to call it, but they are definitely wanting to make sure that they push that out there. So here we have the underdogs, which are the driving simulators who are seen as not belonging in the sports world, in the racing world, because they're nerds. They don't belong there, right? So, I mean, that's kind of the premise on most successful sports movies is you have the underdogs, they come in and they're able to overcome, right? So really that's what this story is about. It's about a guy he's really not a gamer. He's a sports guy who likes driving, and he does look at it as a driving simulator. So this is a sports guy who used to do sports, who had a chance at maybe doing quite well in sports. His brother does. So that's very interesting. But what makes it so great is it is written well and it is acted well. So they didn't include anything that wasn't super necessary for the story or genre. And by that, I mean, so there's a little bit of romance in there. And do you really need that for a sports story? No, but that's pretty common. Throw in a very light sprinkling of romance to just kind of, change the tone once in a while. Very little focus on it. So it is focused on this guy succeeding, going from being a simulator, and he's a good driver, on the streets in England, and he's a decent driver, but he's not, well known for anything. And they transform him. He does have to become an athlete. There's definitely it's not like fantasy where like, oh, I do well on the video game, so now I can immediately become a race car driver. No, there's definitely a training and a process. And so the writing is good.
The classic tropes of the sports film genre, or
absolutely. So
handled well.
So it follows there, and it's got a lot of great conflict, which is you need that in a great story. So his dad doesn't see the potential. He wants his son to amount to something, not be a stupid video gamer, and that kind of stuff. So it's good. It's very excellent, and the acting is great. And I should know this guy is David. He plays the dad in Black Widow. Plays the Russian
David Harbour.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
He was excellent. He was just, if they don't put him up for an Oscar nod, or some sort of award. I mean, I just think he did an amazing job on it. So that was my reason that I was willing to go see it. I didn't really want to go see it, but now that I'm done, I think my wife would like it, even though she's not into sports or video games or whatever, just because it's such a great story. So I think that is clearly the best movie that I saw this year. Mission Impossible was super good. And Barbie, wow. That was an amazing movie.
I watched your review. Mate.
Yeah, and what'd you think?
No, that was a good review. It made me want to watch it. I mean, I'm not going to go to the cinema and see it, put it that way. But it's one of those movies that, I will watch. I've noticed on my format that I have in there, the Indiana Jones film has just popped up. So tomorrow I'll probably be watching that. But I started watching the beginning of it today. But there was no way I was going to the cinema to watch that. I ain't giving them my money to watch that.
I agree.
And I haven't seen that. I have seen
Barbie, but Gran Turismo, is it as good as Talladega Nights or Dodgeball?
Well, those are comedies, though, right? So I'm saying that this is really great. So I would put it in. Do you remember Hoosiers? That movie came out probably like
Yeah,
that's way back in the day, right? But it was an excellent sports movie, right? So it was an underdog team.
Are we talking Rocky level here?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm serious. I feel that this will probably be the best movie to come out this year. And this is a year that I feel that there's been a lot of good movies. Like I said, Mission Impossible, I felt was really well done. A lot of movies that I felt were well done haven't made much in the money, but I don't think it's because of the quality of the movie. I think the environment that for the movie industry is tough right now.
Yeah, definitely, I agree.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, and that kind of leads into the fact that Barbie and Oppenheimer at the same weekend. And I know the media made a lot of, what are you going to see? They're two completely different films. Who was going to, but let the media get on with it, because they was hyping cinema. And if they're going to hype cinema, I'm all for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bums on seats.
Yeah.
But so what is it about these superhero films? Blue Beetle not doing it. The Flash not doing it. What's the other one? The three this year.
Ant-Man.
Ant-Man, yeah, Quantumania.
I liked Ant-Man.
Oh
yeah, and I like the Flash.
I really enjoyed the Flash.
And isn't Blue Beetle just copying Ant-Man?
Possibly,
like literally the same
with the insect vibe. Yeah,
with the opponent being a different insect.
Also, Shazam came out this year as well.
Who?
Shazam came out this year.
Shazam. Why is it?
I still haven't seen that.
And I think the answer is plain, isn't it? I think it's there for everyone to see. I think we're all fed up. We're all fed up with the capes, with the soup. And it's the same as any genre. Because I can remember when Unforgiven come out, Clint Eastwood, that Western, in what was it, early 90s? And no one had made a Western, or hardly anyone had made a Western for a long while. They would pop up every now and again. Costner did Dances with Wolves. What was the other one? Tombstone. That was great. And I know I'm going back. And Unforgiven pops up. So you've got these Westerns popping up. A bit like a gangster film.
Mm-hmm.
Who does them anymore? No one. That genre's been done. It's burnt out. It's been burnt. And
you haven't had a good gangster film for a long while.
No, it just can't. Not even a modern day. Not even a modern day.
That's what I mean. No.
Probably the last one I can remember that was a good modern day was Departed. Probably.
Yeah.
See, for me, it was Bugsy Malone.
It's all right, but so I think
after
what if that happens though?
Went downhill.
That's where we are now with that's where I think we are now. I don't know about you lot. That's where we are now with the superhero films. That it's dead. I'm not saying it's dead forever. I mean, I can remember walking out of Avengers Endgame with my son saying they need to stop that now.
Have a break.
It's
Yeah.
a year off. Yeah, give us a break.
Hmm.
They're not going to do that, are they? Of course they're not. They probably had at least 8 films in production between Warner Brothers and Marvel.
Mm.
Just they won't stop until it's completely dead.
Well, but
I think we're seeing.
That's been the history of movies, though, right? I mean, so for a while there, westerns. When you talked about westerns, let's go back farther. I mean, at a point, westerns were. I mean, every studio made dozens of westerns every year, and they were super popular. And they did gangster films, and then they did World War II films.
That's it, war movies,
the war movies, right? And then. Yeah, you know what? And it's cyclic because people are like, yeah, I'm enjoying that. And then Hollywood jumps on the bandwagon and is like, well, if they like it, we got to produce a lot of them.
It. And they rinse it. They rinse it. But I think now the superhero, for me,
they all need to learn from horror.
It's been rinsed right out.
Yeah.
They all need to learn from horror.
Yeah. Do you know what, Liz? That's the only genre that is the staple.
And coming up, I've been talking about it all year. October, beginning of October, Full House of Usher finally drops on Netflix.
Oh, when's that?
Beginning of October.
Is that a film or series?
Series. I'm excited.
Knowing him, it'll be a mini series where it's one story, but lots of different parts to it.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to that.
I'm a big fan of Flanagan.
Yeah, very much looking forward. And Mark Hamill's in it, even better.
Yeah, I remember you saying that's.
I'm so excited. But no, they all need to learn. They all need to learn because horror's reinvented itself. Superhero genre can do that. It could reinvent itself, but I can't see it happening because they're doing the same mistakes again and again and again.
Yeah, but how can it reinvent itself?
I'm not an expert, mate.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see how, because they tried, didn't they? They tried with The Boys. They tried with Brightburn. They tried to see if there's a new take on superheroes. Brightburn was fantastic. Season 1 of The Boys was fantastic. Then it's sort of like,
well, the first thing you got to do is move away from the universe, so you don't one and done. That's the first thing you got to do.
I think that's across the board with a lot of different.
It's deconstruct
back to the
deconstruct one movie. Tayters, The Boys and Brightburn and Invincible and all that. They're all deconstructionist. And I'm a purist, so I'm not a big fan of all it. The next thing they need to do is something like along the lines of tackling it head on. Something like Superman. Make him righteous again. Make him wholesome. Do that. Don't make him grounded. Don't make him miserable. Don't give him, a bad relationship with Lois and he needs, I don't know, he's got erectile dysfunction and he can't. Don't do that. Don't do that. Just make him Superman.
That puts a whole new meaning to the Man of Steel, doesn't it?
Yeah,
that's it.
Kryptonian Viagra.
Yes. She might have a little bit of Krypton in her handbag or something that she doesn't know about.
No matter what, I feel like a lot of our science fiction and now the superheroes count as fantasy, but we often kind of see it as like between science fiction and fantasy for some reason. But everything's just gotten darker and darker. And I swear, I think the one that comes out where everything is lighthearted. Now, Shazam was a strange thing. I can't really count that in the same wheelhouse. But I think that coming out with something like what you said, making Superman righteous again, something good, having something stand out because it is like there is a pure goodness, or I think that's a good thing. Like I think that would shine today. Just because it's not doing the dark thing. It's not trying to make the flawed character, so relatable.
Not grounded. I want to see someone. He's Superman. And it goes back to the 78 one. It goes back to the Christopher Reeve, Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve. It goes back right to that. If they could somehow do I don't know whether I'm saying do Superman that way again, or just tackle the genre or a character in that manner.
Yeah.
But just tackle it head on.
I have some news.
Go on.
I don't know how true it is because I just heard this from my sister.
Go on.
Henry Cavill is doing Highlander.
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Holy shit, that is going to
Yes.
be amazing.
They're
I
rebooting
just
Highlander. Yes, they're rebooting
reboot.
a load of old movies at the moment. They've got them in plan.
A
They
reboot?
can't write anything new, so they're rebooting a load of old stuff.
Oh, I love Highlander.
Highlander
I
was
love
a great
Highlander
film.
too.
Mm.
I sorry, I didn't mean to jump off the rails,
No, that's
but
cool. No,
like
that's cool.
it
Breaking
popped
news.
in my head.
Breaking
Huh?
news.
And
It was-
and keeping it on superhero, they're
Good smasher.
rebooting Green Lantern.
They're remaking Green
Oh.
Lantern. Well, they
Well, they sort of have to, really, don't they? Because the last time they did it,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're bringing in Nathan Fillion, right?
well, from what's been said, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
I mean,
Well, he
so
voiced Green Lantern in the animated a few times, didn't
Yeah.
Yes.
well, and he's a great actor. So if he was playing Green Lantern, I would be excited for that movie because he's very talented. And if we kind of go with what Hog's saying, right? And we kind of go and we get rid of all the dark stuff and we let him just kind of shine with what he can do because he's a great comedic talent in
Yes.
addition to being a
And make it
serious
sci-fi.
actor.
Make it sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't make it a cape,
he?
another cape story.
And a one and done as well. Not interconnected.
Exactly.
Not interconnected, just one and done.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice that they don't announce a trilogy?
That
Mm,
would be
just
awesome.
just one
But
and
you know
done.
they're going to.
They announced the film and they just went, we just made a film.
Well, but even films when they've gone, it's
We're not playing in the trilogy. We're not playing in any offshoots. We're not playing in the TV series of one of the characters. We're making one film for you, beginning, middle, end. Fuck off, eat your popcorn, and fuck off after.
but even the films they've promised that is the case, they've gone back on their word. They're doing the Joker sequel, like
Oh yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
like with Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn,
That's
and
it, yeah.
it's a musical, and
What? Is it a musical?
I don't know about that. I think they're toying with us there. Well, I'd like to think they are because
it's been described as a musical thriller.
oh, and bless her. Did you hear that the original voice of Harley Quinn, bless her, passed away this week?
Yes. Yeah, I
Oh.
did hear that. Sad news.
Yeah. And she was apparently
Taters.
Who? Hang on. Which one are we talking about?
from the Batman animated, the voice of Harley Quinn.
The original voice.
No, Tara Strong? No.
Oh, Arlene.
Oh, right. Okay, that animate. Right, I'm wrong. Animated genre.
Yeah, no, the
that's fine.
original.
Yeah, no.
Arlene. Is it Arlene Phillips? I might be
I was
wrong.
going to say Tara Strong's quite young.
So-
Apologies if I've got her
Is
name.
it Sorkin? I want to say Sorkin.
Oh, Arlene Sorkin. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
Right, the original. Right.
Mm.
I'm with
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, it's Arlene Sorkin. Yeah, just checked.
Bless. So,
Mm.
but anyway, at the end of the day, what's her name? Who's playing her in Gaga?
Yeah.
She is a decent actress, I've got to say.
Yeah.
She can do the weird and wonderful. Remember, if I've only seen her in American Horror Story, I didn't see her in the musical with Rocket Raccoon. In American Horror Story, she was cool.
Yeah, she was, to be fair. And I say, I said it to you before with the first Joker, I was so anti it. But it blew me away, and Todd Phillips proved me wrong. So I'm hoping they do it again. But this time, you're telling me it's a musical thriller. Win me, please win me over.
Yeah,
I hope so.
I don't think it's going to be a musical. I think there'll be a musical number in it. This is my prediction. I reckon there'll be a musical number in it because I think they've done that. I think they've done it in a Batman animated episode. A dream.
Yeah, they probably
I dreamed it.
I want to go back to something we were talking about earlier. So we talked about the cycle and that the superhero genre is kind of needs to take a break. What if put out superhero stories, but we frame them in story structure for other genres, right? So we talk about there's definitely a format for sports movies. There's a format for westerns. There's mobster movies. You name that. What if we just had superhero characters, but wrote those stories in those other formats?
Sort of like how Alien was a horror movie, but it was sci-fi.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, I like that. That's a great
Yeah.
idea.
Right, because then it would feel different. It wouldn't feel like all the other superhero movies is like I'm going to punch you and you're going to go through a wall and you're going to make some smarmy quip about it. And right, it would maybe take that genre a little more seriously because they're dealing in different formats.
I mean, Brightburn. I think Brightburn did that. It kind of cross-pollinated with horror, didn't it?
Yes.
It took the Superman idea.
It pretty much was Superman.
To its ultimate conclusion. And if you was going to be a bit like in Superman 2 when he goes bad, and you think, fuck, like, and it's the whole Zack Snyder thing with Dawn of Justice.
Yeah.
With Batman saying, well, what if Superman decided to not play ball?
Yeah.
And that was Batman's whole focus. I mean, and bless him, old Zack didn't quite get the entire message, but nevertheless, I got it. And it was like, but again, it's grounding, and like the latest Batman film, we're talking about the Joker 2, the sequel to Batman. Old Miss Patterson is one. If they ground it anymore, it's going to be hard going, isn't it?
I'm telling you, it's going to be Mr. Freeze's the bad guy. That's my prediction.
If they're going to ground it anymore, I mean, me and Liz rewatched the original 89 version.
Oh, yes. Yes.
That is going to be entertaining. That is going to be an entertaining film to the end of time.
Yeah.
The first Batman film with old Patterson in it, I'm not slating it. I enjoyed it. But when they ground it and they take everything, even the Nolan stuff, you can kind of watch again. You might fast forward for a bit because they're too long.
Yeah.
But grounding it all, making it real and like I say about Superman having problems with Lois and all that, we don't want to see that.
A superhero sports movie.
We want to see him rescuing.
Yeah, there we go, right, Liz? I mean, I think if you went into it thinking I'm going to do a superhero sports movie, and because you're less focused on the superhero, it's still a superhero, right?
Yeah.
But you wrote it that way. I think that might be kind of interesting. I know.
Yeah, it's a good idea. The cross pollination of it.
Dodgeball.
Old Shyamalan sort of did that with Unbreakable, didn't he?
Yes, I was just thinking that as you said it. Like that was a great example of it.
What's that, Liz?
Unbreakable.
Yeah.
And then what was the second one? Shattered.
Or
Split. That was it. Split. Yeah. The third one, I forget the third
Glass.
one.
Yeah, Glass was
1 and 2 were good.
Those
were superhero movies done differently, but they were grounded. But they were still something. They were different. They were horror.
They were.
The second one, Split, was horror.
What other genres would the superhero stuff work with, though? Superhero thriller, superhero sports movie, superhero love story. It could work
romance.
with anything.
Rom-com.
I mean, there was a comic.
I'd love to see the rom-com. That'd be fantastic.
They did it, didn't they?
That was Hitch, wasn't it?
No, the one with
Hancock.
The superhero girlfriend, Luke Wilson.
Oh, what one was
Uma Thurman.
Yes.
Yeah, she chucks a shark in his bedroom.
Yeah. Well, Amber, my daughter Amber loves that film.
Yeah, funny film.
She thought that
was. Which one is this?
I can't remember the name, but it's like Superhero X or my ex super. Oh, I don't know.
My superhero, X.
Something. It's Uma Thurman and Luke Wilson.
That's it. Yeah, well done, Tayters.
Yeah, that was a funny. That was a funny film.
Yeah, that was decent.
Superhero war movie, like World War II style.
Right.
That was Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
and you know what?
Captain America.
Movie.
And Captain America.
Yeah.
You could do a comedy. Condor Man.
Oh, do you remember that? That's going back some.
I still want to see proper World War II zombies, man.
Fucking Condor Man.
Sergeant Rock versus the Zombies, written by Bruce Campbell from Evil
You
Dead.
know what was a hit was that show, the Korean show that was like a historical zombie movie or show. What was that one called? The Kingdom? Something like that? I forget what it was called. It's a Korean show, but it's
I couldn't get into that.
no, I couldn't either, but I didn't give it much of a try either. But everybody was like, "Oh, it's great. It's, think of zombies in like medieval times basically, except in Korea." But there was one, oh shit, what was I thinking of? Forget it. I can't remember what I was thinking.
Train to Busan.
Blank line, like flat line brain right now.
World War II zombies would be one I'd be well up for.
How about something like The Rocketeer?
Oh, The Rocketeer was a great film.
I don't know why we haven't seen more. I mean, I guess we kind of got what was it? The first Captain America, was it the first one? I don't know, one of them. But it's still in the superhero wheelhouse. There, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see something like The Rocketeer, which is basically Batman, but back then,
It's a nice way of him, like, so he gets the powers, but he feels as if they're being wasted. He's doing the tour and all that, isn't he? They done a nice story there, encompassing everything that made the character great in the comics. They just took all the best of it to make a decent film without being cynical or looking down on the fans that have made the story work. What made this character work since World War II? First published in what was it, 41? Come on, guys. You can't, as soon as you get these characters or these IPs, these concept, whatever it is, whatever you've bought, like Amber, you was talking early on about the Wheel of Time. So the company has bought the rights to make a TV show of this book series, and you give it to a showrunner who you think has either got a track record or can do it or whatever it is. So you've employed this team, and the first thing they say is, we're going to change all that. To me, that's my first red flag. The alarm bells ringing. I'd be going, hold on.
Yeah.
Whatever made this book popular, you translate that to the screen. Yeah. In between, you can do whatever you want, but the fundamentals of it, you stay true, because otherwise, why have I bought it?
Yeah.
If I just wanted to make the TV show that my team, my so-called showrunners, if I just wanted to make a silly fantasy show with whoever in it, but why have I got to spend millions buying the rights to it?
One of my patrons made an interesting comment. He wrote an article about this, actually, and I read it. And he was saying that essentially I wish I should just read it. Frag, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt like that, but what you were saying really resonated.
It's changed.
My brain's gone. What's going on? I think my 5-hour energy is expiring early.
Listen, get your sleep before hogCAST.
Why are they doing this? Why are they picking it up? Why are they changing all this stuff? Shit, I had such a great freaking point to make. Now I can't remember what the hell it was. I'm sorry. Go on without me.
No, we can't now. No,
we'll come back to
we're all looking at you now, Amber.
I'm gonna go look at his article.
Pressure's on.
While she look,
oh my god!
While she's looking.
Anyway, they're going to carry on doing it until they can be measured.
But everything's an adaptation or a remake or a reboot. That's why I'm looking forward to Rebel Moon. Something brand new.
Yeah.
Something brand new.
That'd be fun.
That's
and a bit
sci-fi,
like
fantasy, bit of everything.
I know Oppenheimer was a true story, but at least Christopher Nolan is another one that will just come up with something original.
Yeah.
He'll do
something original, something brand new.
Inception.
Yeah.
We need a few, but I don't think it's down to a lack of talent per se. It's down to a lack. It's a risk-averse system.
Yeah.
Which puts your idea into an algorithm, and this is the investment side of it all, puts it into an algorithm, and they say no. You put in, oh, this is a published book. How many books did it? You know, even a comic. How many did it publish? You know, say like Walking Dead. So
I would love to take that algorithm away.
Picked up as a comic book adaptation, but it may be in the works. But they feed it into the algorithm and it spits out, yeah, we can invest 200 million in that.
But I would like for that algorithm to get taken away. Look at Lord of the Rings when New Line picked it up. What a risk that was. What a risk. All three in a row, back to back. What a risk that was. You put the algorithm into it, everyone plays it safe. Instead of just going.
That'd be a good exercise, wouldn't it? To
take the algorithm away.
To put that pitch in the algorithm now, I wonder what that would spit out.
Yeah, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. It would go, no, don't do it.
Or would it be 6 series TV?
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes you've got to take that risk and look at some of the greatest films of all time that we've got, including Lord of the Rings, that were done on a risk. Some other old school films, Back to the Future being one of them, that got turned down so many times before it got finally picked up.
They're meant to be remaking, aren't they?
Well, they shouldn't be. Whoa. No.
Oh, tight a minute. I thought the family of Zemeckis were holding out. Well, I thought that's why it was sacred, because they was saying
there was something dropped in the week. There's like, I think between now and 2026, I think there's been planned like 121 reboots. They're all not going to get picked up, but they're being, that's what's being chucked out. There's like Commando. They were going to remake the Entity. I'm trying to think of the ones that.
I suppose so. I mean,
Commando. Why would they do that? That was a horrible movie.
How dare you?
Stick around.
Exactly.
Okay, the only reason that movie works is Schwarzenegger's in it, and his one-liners are hilarious, right? That's really the only reason it works. It is stupid. That's a horrible movie.
It was badly shot, but
come on,
great film. It's a great film.
Ooh, not Commando. We can't do that.
Okay. I'm going to be the outlier, and I'm going to say
we can. It worked great.
All right.
Randy's wrong review.
Randy's wrong review. Spelt with a capital R. On that note, guys, I reckon that's a good. We've been waffling.
Yeah,
Amber, have you found what you was going to?
Oh yeah, I did. And it just ties back to stuff that we have talked about on here before. But he says essentially what happens is they go, okay, we're gonna take this pre-existing IP that we know a bunch of people love, right? And obviously it has to be updated, it has to be changed just a little bit so that it'll appeal to people today, right? And so they give it to writers, people who they trust or know, or people who are in the circles of Hollywood, and say, these people, we have a lot of people who like them. They know what people want. I'm going to give it to them. And the problem is they don't know. They are in their own little universe. This is why the Witcher Origins show, I haven't even watched it, but I've heard all the critiques saying you can't tell one city or one country from another. It just feels like Los Angeles, downtown Los Angeles, because they think that that is what the whole rest of the universe is like. And so you've got people who are acquiring these IPs. They may love them, but they're like, I have to update it a little bit for today. So I'm going to take today's sensibilities, but they live in a snow globe, right? Their own little universe. And they think that's what the rest of the world is like. So it's not really new information, I guess, on here. We've kind of talked about this before, but it does tell you a little bit why we are seeing all of these beloved IPs, and they're going, well, you do have to change something to make it appealing. You just have to. You have to with every IP. Even the Lord of the Rings changed some stuff. We've got Arwen in scenes that don't exist in the book.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And
to make it flow the movie. Yeah.
But they did something because they knew people know that Aragorn has this romance that's tragic, and we want to see that. So they took something that's already there and they enhanced it. They brought it more onto the front. but there was an understanding of what the people wanted, of what the fans wanted. And now you have Hollywood universe believing that they are the universe, but really it's everybody else and nobody's getting in. That, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we have the occasional outlier who manages to get in there and put something good out there that we're like, that's what we're looking for, you know, whoever put Maverick together, that's what we've been wanting, you know. But most of the people in there, they're in this big circle jerk and we're forced to participate, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I think that also goes back to what Hog was saying earlier, talking about maybe we get a Superman that he's a good guy. We go back to what Superman originally was, right? And if you look at the movies that have done well the last couple of years, I mean, really well, I think that's where we're at, right? I mean, so Maverick, he's a good guy. Does he have some faults? Yeah, because that's part of good storytelling is all people have faults, but it's about being a good guy and working, you know, and having good values and moving forward. And they do that in Maverick. And if you look at Mission Impossible this year, that's going to do pretty well. It'll be one of the better movies this year. Same thing. I would even say, you know, Gran Turismo, you know, these are good guys. You know, we're not wallowing in the mud and the muck and the darkness. We are looking at positivity and ending that movie with like, yay, we succeeded. The good guy won. And I think that, we need to return to that. People like those kind of stories.
Yes.
Those have been the norm for centuries.
And I used to enjoy those days when you would go to the cinema or you watch a series on TV, which is why I like fantasy and comics and all this crap I'm surrounded with. Because, my God, isn't real life, and the older you get,
depressing.
The older you get, that slog is enough. And that's why I'm so anti the grounding of everything. It's kind of like an alarm bell for me when they say, "Oh, we've grounded this character," and you think, "No, don't ground it, elevate it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want him in the stars, in the clouds. I want him flying. I want him with lasers. I want him in a spaceship, whatever it is, or her, or them, whatever it is. But
what did you think of the Superman Returns movie?
Yeah, it was dull. Again,
There's something in there missing.
Yeah,
because that was a very, I felt like that was the true to Superman, but later in life thing.
One with Brandon Roth.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, I actually liked that film.
I liked it too, but I felt it was
for the reminders of the original 80s. Yeah,
we all liked it, but have we ever watched it again?
Yes,
I have. I watched it because I felt like it nailed the Superman is basically Jesus, right?
Yeah.
That's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be the pinnacle of goodness, and he will always choose the right.
That's why I think Zach gets it. He's not Jesus. He's a God amongst.
Yeah. There you go.
He gets it right. He is a God, and that's where I think it worked. And I know it was a bit dark.
Yeah,
it goes against what I'm talking about, but
it
did work in that one film where Batman recognizes that, hold on, this is a God amongst men. What happens if he goes mental?
Yeah.
That pitch, that was the pitch of the film. What happens if Superman went mental? And Batman's got to think about that. And that's why he's collecting kryptonite and he's making a big suit of armor and all that, and he's going to town. But how they depicted Superman and how Cavill was doing it, because it's difficult to do Superman right.
Yeah.
Difficult because to go head on with that character, because he is so righteous, and in this day and age, it's difficult. The writers have really got to. But anyway,
but people liked Captain America. They liked Superman. You know why? Because we all in our hearts want to do the right thing. We all, even when we do things that are bad, most of the time we think we're doing the right thing, but we all aspire to be better than what we are. And that's what a superhero is supposed to be. Someone that you aspire to be. That's
a good point, actually, Amber. Captain America is kind of like the Marvel version of Superman.
I've always thought that,
And they kept him all the way up to Endgame, to where he has that dance. They kept it, how it resonated. where he gets to dance with Sharon Carr, where he just stays back in time. He goes back to do the last thing he has to do, and stays there. And then he's on the bench.
Yeah,
they are beautiful scenes.
Yeah,
well executed. They're well written, well conceived. Everything, the essence of the characters from decades of storytelling. They had decades. This is the thing. And they plucked the best. So in a way, did they pluck everything? There's there's nothing less for anyone else. Perhaps that's why everything's shit now, because they plucked all the best. There's nothing left. But how they made that character work, who is, strong, upright, doesn't do no wrong. In Civil War, where he goes up against Iron Man and he's just single-minded.
I think there's a belief, and it's been around for a while, actually, since we have seen this darkness put into cinema, that your characters have to be gray. They have to be flawed, because otherwise we can't relate to them.
Yeah.
But that's just it. You're not supposed to relate to these characters. You're supposed to aspire to be them, but you can still go on a journey with a character you don't relate to. Superman struggles. Superman has a conflict that he has to defeat, personal, and then also he has to make personal sacrifices for the greater good. And that's like the human struggle. Like, oh man, this would be so easy if I just did this, but I'd have to work harder for it, or I'd have, you know what I'm saying? Like that,
or that he has to be perfect all the time, right? I mean, if I'm writing Superman, I focus on his personal element and how difficult it is to be that bastion of goodness all the time, because everyone knows him, everyone sees him, and he can't afford to make a mistake or that has tragic results because of it. Now, see, that's a good story because it's personal. It goes with what Amber was just saying. Yeah.
We all want the good superhero.
That's what they did in Dawn of Justice, though, wasn't it? When Luthor give him the choice, you can't be all powerful and all good. You're one or the other.
Well, and not only that, I mean, there are stories that have tackled the fact that the guilt that he can't save every life that's endangered every minute of the day across the world. He can't do that. He's
right.
Even though he's Superman, he's still limited.
Yeah.
He cannot save everyone unless he keeps turning the world back, like in the first film.
Yeah.
And back in time and saving every life. Every person's falling out of a tree, or
But what's the more intriguing character? The one who has that struggle and has to be, I feel guilty and down because I can't do it as hard as I try, or the one who's like, I can't be there for everybody, and just that's their attitude about it.
Yeah.
Which one's the more which one's the more intriguing character?
There's the narcissist version.
Yeah.
Anyway, but perhaps that's in the future for the superhero genre. I think that's what we're saying, if it's tackled head on. But for now, I think it's in burnout.
Yeah.
Yeah, big time. Big time. I mean, they are doing another Superman, aren't they? So it's the Superman Legacy movie that Gunn's doing.
Oh, with James Gunn. Yeah.
So, I mean,
and that was a
will
decent
see.
storyline in the comic, to be fair. So the Grant Morrison storyline. So if they're going to do that one, if they're going to riff off that, so
they probably just titled it that.
Yeah.
It'll be like Daredevil Born Again, wouldn't it?
I was just about to say that.
Oh, la. Delayed. I want that delayed until the end of time.
Yes.
Anyway, that bombshell. Have we all had enough? I've had enough.
I think
What
so.
we've done.
Yeah, enough of you.
Thank you, guys.
2.5 hours.
As always, thank you so much.
Yeah. Before we end as well, I just want to say to Amber, congrats with the channel and looking at your viewing figures and everything just
smashing it.
Shot up.
Stuff.
Turns out putting in those little memes and clips are what does it, I think. I think it was not doing so well, and then I started being like, oh, my videos are boring. I'm just going to put in clips from Kung Pao. People like it, so.
No, great.
Yeah, nice, smashed it.
Congratulations.
Whatever
Thank
works.
you.
Yeah, congrats.
Thank you.
Freeze
I
frame.
don't know what else to say.
Freeze frame.
Bye.